Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Arma Shertha, Naughty Thumbnails, Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christophe Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, Aaron Bowden, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Tina Baker, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Anyway, I've asked Craig in that chat thing, and he hasn't seen any of the messages in Skype. I don't know if he's actually working. He might still be off. I don't know. Maybe his Christmas period's extended into January. I have no idea. But I'll ask him. I've tried twice. What component is causing me this problem? So hopefully he'll reply.
Yeah, you have to suspect the memory controller, haven't you?
No, I just know it's weak because it was the first generation of Big Little architecture. They just had weak memory controllers. It's because it's got two. It's got a DDR4 memory controller and a completely separate DDR5 controller.
Oh.
And the DDR4 controller on it is absolutely exceptional. Craig at the shop has got the same chip. He's actually got a slightly better one. He's got a KS. It's just the same chip, but slightly better binned. Anyway, same chip. And he's running DDR4 in Gear 1 at 4,000. You're like, that's blisteringly fast. The latency is off the scale. It's so low, it's untrue. Absolutely no issues. Me, I can't even get it to run stock with DDR5 because it was immature when it came out. Now they still haven't really matured that much in the two generations since. So 14th gen, people still moan about the memory controller on it. So while I'm blaming that, I don't know that that's the case at all. That's why I'm asking Craig. It could be a shitty PSU. It's just not. It's not regulating its voltages correctly. Therefore, the motherboard's not getting the correct voltages and having to work too hard to correct for it.
What did they put in it?
A bloody good power supply. A really good one. That cost about the same amount of money as I was spending on power supplies on the old computer, because I did go through a couple. They do go. They don't last forever. But I was buying fanless power supplies that cost hundreds of pounds before this passive PC, because I tried to run my last PC passive. But this power supply is great. In terms of its quality, it's a platinum power supply. It's about as good a grade as you can get. Doesn't mean it's not faulty, but I don't want to go, it's the memory controller, let's change the CPU, when it's not. It could be the power supply, it could be the motherboard, it could be the RAM, even though it's on its second set of RAM. I just don't know. Every time I think I've figured it out, like with the GPU, I close one window and another door flies open. But now it works when I will come to it in the morning. I move the mouse and it works. But now it's starting to black screen again under load. And you're like, oh, I can't win. But I have solved it temporarily by just upping the voltage to the CPU. That seems to have solved the problem. Now it's working, in other words. It's not black screening. But it's going to overheat. If I put any load on it, I'll know it will overheat. So I'll just have to not put any load on it. But it's back to that. It's now back to being a temperamental computer. When literally a day ago I was praising that I was at the end of the tunnel. Anyway, I'll wait for Craig to get back to me. Hopefully he'll offer some sort of solution.
Hello.
Hello.
Shut up, Neil.
But as there are temperamentalities, if that's a word, with this computer, just so you're all aware, if the computer crashes, I will just give up on today's show. because there's obviously a
Whoa,
fundamental.
forget about everything. Could I just hear QE at this hour?
Yes.
Nice. To what do we owe this honor?
Sleepless night, eh?
Now I gotta go pick up my bow at the shop today. It's gonna be an all day working on my bow.
Why a bow? Why not guns?
Guns are for wusses, man.
He
Why?
played with guns his whole life. Bows are just like new to him.
Is that all it is?
Yeah.
Fad.
What?
Just a fad.
Not a fad, dude.
You've been trained with firearms though, like in all different guises. Is that how you describe it? All different types of firearms is something you're well and truly familiar with, right?
Yeah, but those are for wusses. I don't need any rifle. Well, I got a rifle, but I don't muck with it anymore.
What caliber?
223.
Oh, okay, you got a proper rifle.
Yeah.
Okay. No, fair enough. Why'd you say they're for wusses? I've never heard anybody say that. I've heard people say like 38's for wusses. You need 45, some things like that, but not guns are for wusses. I don't know. I'm just intrigued because I'm watching gun videos at the moment to unwind to.
Guns you could shoot at a distance. Bow, you got to be closer.
That's not
And
true.
you got to have the proper aim.
Nah. Most defense encounters are, relatively short range, up to about 20 yards, I guess. Most less than that, from what I've
Yeah, I
been
know,
watching.
because you shot off about 50 guns in your lifetime, correct?
It's about shooting people.
I'm not suggesting it's about shooting people. Neil did that. I'm just saying, Neil's argument was to say that bows are for short range. No, they're not. I've shot plenty of bows. I've also shot plenty of firearms, by the way, Neil. My parents used to live on a farm. Firearms are fairly common amongst farmers. My bad, just to let Neil know.
Okay, say no more. I know you were shooting then.
It takes more skill as an archer than just a brain dead gun or rifle shooter.
That might be. I would say it's comparable to clay pigeons, though, with a shotgun. You ever done clay pigeons?
Yeah.
Right. Well, tracking them as they're moving up or moving sideways requires a certain degree of skill with a shotgun. Well, I would put that on a parallel with archery. I found both of them equally difficult. I know what you're saying with with a really high velocity rifle that's just absolutely pinpoint accurate and isn't going to deviate whatsoever because it's going so fast. You point that, look down a sight, and it hits. Shocking. I get that, what you're saying, but there are certain shooting genres that do require a fair amount of skill.
It's still shooting clays and archery is two different games.
No, I agree. And it is an entirely different skill as well.
Yes, I love it. I think it's righteous, man.
I must admit, grouping when I was doing archery, this is many, many years ago, was far more satisfying. When you got a good group, you're like, yeah. It really did mean something because you'd physically posed yourself in a way to be able to achieve that.
Yep. Yes. Now, this has been going on for a while. It's a little bit more than a fad, wouldn't you say?
Not really. Are you actually hunting with the bow?
Yeah. Trans panda rats.
Fair enough. As long as, I don't know why I keep going about how much practical application things have in life. Not everything needs to have a practical application. Me watching gun videos has no use to me at all. So I don't know why I bark up that tree. It's because it's flat Earth related, isn't it? When I'm talking about flat Earth, I'm always interested in the practical application because that's what we're debating, right? Nature of Earth. Well, if we're going to use an example, it's like, well, if it's got a practical application to a flat Earth, that's the golden standard as far as I'm concerned with an example proving we're flat. Therefore, everything else has to compare to that. What's this practically used for? What do we get out of the ether was yesterday's discussion. How's this benefiting you? Oh, so you learnt about electronics because what they said was valid when they talked about electronics. What about the ether bit? What did that give you? Nothing. Literally nothing. It sent you off on a valor stolen tangent.
He admitted what it was about. He wanted to argue gravity.
Yeah, you got a lot out of that yesterday. You need to clip some of that out. You know the part. Oh, and by the way, I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I discovered the land of misfit toys. Guess where they're all at? Yeah, yeah. You guessed it, the Jane Fonda server. All of the misfit toys. I couldn't believe the people that are over there. I was wondering. Well, I wasn't wondering. I was sitting there, and these voices from the past just started popping up everywhere. I said, "Oh shit,
You mean you
Jazzaconda,
heard some Charlie in the boxes?
Jazzaconda." All those
Nobody
guys
wants to
know
be
me.
a Charlie in the box.
Oh, bro, that Jane Fonda server, man. All the land. That's what I call it now. Land of misfit toys. The hell am I,
Yeah.
Chop
Huey is also here.
Leather? Damn, man. What the? Dude.
Got distracted.
Damn it.
My buttons stopped working temporarily. What do you want?
So, were you listening to my conversation? Because you didn't say anything. You just went right into the intro.
That means no. That means I was definitely on mute, as were you. I wasn't listening to you. No. What,
Unbelievable. So I
while
gotta
I'm doing my
start off
intro on time for a live stream, I should be listening to you.
I didn't hear that.
I should be listening to you rather than starting on time, is what you're suggesting.
Starting the damn conversation in there. I didn't know you were starting up the damn live stream, and then all of a sudden everything went quiet.
This
So you didn't hear any of it?
Let me recommend this amazing invention. It's fantastic. It's called a watch.
I don't wear a watch, man.
That's your problem right there.
Never did. I can't stand jewelry. I don't have that. No necklaces.
Hello,
no
we
rings.
have a routine here. This is not QE's open panel, right? We do housekeeping first before you waffle on about your problems with the time that the show starts.
I don't got any problems. You're just conjuring them.
Oh, you were moaning. You were literally any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge, formerly known as an Earth curve.
Ow!
Maybe in the land
Wow.
of misfit toys.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was talking about. The land of misfit toys before I was rudely interrupted.
John knows how to make a segue into the live stream so that the audience knows what you're talking about. Perfect. Go ahead, QE. What's the land of misplaced toys?
Misfit toys. Yeah. Land of misfit toys. That's what it's that first, the gut, name that comes out. Because I was over on the Jane Fonda server. I think they call themselves Earth Awakenings. You know who Jane Fonda is, that geo-love friggin' traitor. But I wasn't in there. I was listening to one of the shows. They do it like 24/7. They post like 8 hours. And now that I'm on Rumble and a Nathan Oakley follower, people's been sending me videos. I was listening to a long one, and that's where I found the land of misfit toys. That means all the old ones that were destroyed over here, all the old ball tards, and a lot of pretender clown flat earthers, that's where they're at. If you wondering where they went, they didn't quit. They're over there.
Doing what?
Oh, and
I'm glad you're keeping up.
Doing what? Over there doing what?
Doing what?
Yeah, what are they doing?
Arguing about the geometric horizon, obviously.
That's correct.
They're not doing that. It's back 2015. You got some new players over there that are friggin' numpty dipshits, but they're mainly like tender clown, like shits at 10 parroters. I heard some of the lingo being parroted over there. Dice lows over there. Jazzaconda.
Wait, you said Dice Lows over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that figures.
Jazzaconda, Kosho, Issa. Every now Issa's up. Issa's not. Issa's cool. I like Issa. But if you wonder where they all went, that's where they went, to the land of misfit toys. That's all I got for you. There you go.
But now
just talking of Issa. Sorry, go ahead, John.
In 2015, there was an argument, it seemed, that there was a hidden amount behind a geometric horizon. Was there not?
Yeah, there was, yeah.
So, yeah, in the land of misfit toys, they still argue about that.
Oh, I now
hate
see
it
the
over there.
connection.
Nobody wants to be a Charlie in the box.
I hate it over there. You can't reason with them.
So Issa can get a bit of credit in the navigation argument because he was the first to identify that you're measuring flat Earth when you do navigation. He was the first to point it out in 2016 and labour it. So go into detail about it.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Issa
he-
was there doing it.
and he-
Again, like with most things, I didn't recognise the significance of what he was detailing. But he was making a very explicit point about the same, without the details of the elevation angle measurements, but specifically about the area of equal elevation. That's what he was covering in 2016. So Issa was way ahead of the game.
Yeah, I mean that's what's up. You
square
know,
miles, miles
that's what's up. It's also, it's a positive and a negative when a person like that can also drag you into the land of belief, where everything is ambiguous, and other people can believe what they want because we have our beliefs too, and nothing is objective. Yeah, very good job, Issa.
Yeah, it's a good guy. So who runs Earth Awakenings?
Geo Love, the friggin' Jane Fonda
Now,
trainer.
Geo, I like Geo. That's my guy.
Geo, that name rings a bell. Is he?
Friggin' scumbag,
Is he?
man.
Is he? Got the Geo that's been around in the conspiracy realm for like 15 years, and he's got a wife who's also in the conspiracy realm. Is that the guy?
I don't know about that.
That's Chris G.
And he's been around for a good while, at least in the Discord circuit.
Adam's got the answer. That isn't the same Geo.
No, that's the guy that runs Truth Frequency Radio.
Okay. Okay, so it's just familiar because it's a common name for whatever reason. Geo's suddenly common. Okay, great. So is he a friendly, this Jane Fonda?
What the? Well, you might consider him a friendly. Me, I'm gonna hang his ass from a yard arm.
Why is that?
Jane Fondas can never be a friendly. Get that?
Yeah.
Understand that?
Jane Fonda's a cook, isn't she? Like a homemaker.
Jane Fonda's the one that took pictures with the Vietnamese northern military when they were shooting down our sons over Vietnam.
Was she baking them cakes or something? Why?
Of course, it's the same thing over here. FED bad, America bad.
Jane Fonda was a well-known terrorist sympathizer, right, with the enemy. See, and that's what Geo is. He's a Jane Fonda. Because personally, with me, when his server first popped up, I was invited over there, so I went over. And these baltards started to come in, and they went immediately, because they don't have any fucking arguments.
No swearing.
Sorry, no swearing. I got it before you. So they, because they have no arguments, and they knew I was in the military, they went after my, they started ad homing me, saying this and this about my military record, when my wife can't even get into my military records. No one could see them. But they were pretty sure, so they were just making shit up. And I got a little, how would you say, maybe a tad upset at the ad homs, and I started to go off on them. But meanwhile, Geo, he muted me to let the baltards talk about my military career. So, Geo, if I ever see you personally, I'm going to rip your head off and shit down your neck.
No need.
No.
Yes, that's the QE I like.
I mean, I do get the hump when people misquote me. Just make something up that I haven't said, put quotes around it, and write the name Nathan Oakley after that. Sends me into a rage. I won't lie. And I can appreciate from what you've just detailed how this is similar. So you're going to detail my military history with me on mute, are you? And this isn't a pogue or a grunt. This is some civilian, right?
Punk ass baltards.
Right.
No. Hello.
Yeah, I follow. Okay, but you're
There you
hanging
go.
around his
That's
server, right?
Again?
But you're hanging around his server.
Not now. Back then, it was about two, maybe 2.5 years ago, somewhere in that vicinity. Now since I joined Rumble, now that I'm a Nathan Oakley follower, by the way, people have been sending me, Rumble videos. One just happened across my desk.
I see.
That's where I found out.
Now, good.
They have sort of. Go ahead.
Now I know the connection. That's what I was rooting for. Why are we talking about this? Now you've answered that. Okay, cool. Now we're back to square one. Okay.
Not really.
Well,
They're going to start saying that Nathan Oakley said he's going to rip somebody's head off and shit down their neck.
Can
They
you not
heard it
swear?
this
Can you
morning.
stop with the swearing. Okay, right, fine. Jolly good. We all know what's what now. So, yeah, we're going to lead by example, though, as opposed to necessarily going into these servers to set them straight. Now, that might be the case with 24/7 because they're friendlies, right, QE?
Yes.
Yeah, so therefore it's just another home from home for the flat Earth debate, correct?
24/7.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's set that up. Like, get that done by Monday, right?
Yeah, well, maybe.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. I'm still having computer issues. I kind of lied when I was like, it's all sorted now. It wasn't. I just stopped moaning about it. Anyway, that aside, right? Yeah, we will mosey on into different Discord servers, but I'm just getting a lay of the land at the moment and finding out what's what with all of these different servers. I mean, up until this point, to me, all Discord is a place that I press a button on my magic box in the morning, it loads a screen that's already got people waiting for me, and I join it. That's what Discord is to me. Now, I appreciate it's got a lot more to offer, and I just need to go in without being totally ignorant like I am about Jane Fonda. Is that normal, by the way?
Well,
Am I
I would say
abnormal
it's-
to not
it's
know
just
the
about the
Jane
same
Fonda
thing.
reference? My bad. Am I abnormal for not knowing the Jane Fonda reference?
I thought you were kidding.
Mm.
Everybody knows that, Nathan.
Obviously
I
not
don't know
Neil.
either. I don't know.
Hello.
Like Hanoi
Hey,
Jane.
Owen.
When you were like Hanoi Duran, or however you say it, Hanoi Duran.
Your rain.
Durain. Hanoi Durain. Right, Hanoi Jane, Hanoi Durain. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't know who Hanoi Jane was. I don't know.
It is because you're not a boomer. It's a
See,
Yeah,
Vietnam thing.
1960.
Just so we're clear, we're not saying that the USA's intervention in Vietnam was legitimate, are we? We're just making a joke.
Well, that's what I was going to. I've heard
It
of
was
it.
a police action.
Speak
But
for
I didn't know-
yourselves.
I
Proud
love
of
my wife.
country.
She just interrupted this live stream. She came in to show me how thick the crema was on the
Eli.
coffee she just pulled. My wife's ace. Literally just interrupted me. Look at the crema on this.
Nice. Yeah, but that's worthy of an interruption. When you get a good cream top, oh my gosh, you got to spread that out broad and wide. Take some pics.
Crema.
Yeah, you're talking about the top of the coffee. Am I wrong?
Yeah, the crema.
Right.
My wife's still smiling about it.
Well, she
the
should
little
be.
things.
Ooh, somebody's giving out memberships again.
Fantastic. I'm super poor.
I'll
I'm really
never be able to
appreciative.
get there.
It's surprising how you can get by without life's necessities if you've got life's luxuries. Thanks for the coffee, Paula.
Hey, you got one too, Neil.
Oh, Neil picked up a free membership. Check it out.
Nice. Thank you very much. It's about time.
And this has been the most laid-back, disorganized show we've had for a while. Right, shout out to Flat Earth Travolta, gifted 5 memberships. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Speaking of Travolta, did anybody see that commercial where he's Santa Claus
Who
walking
really
Saturday
cares?
Night Fever music? That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
Who really cares? Yeah, no one. We don't care about that. Now, you need to get into Jane Fonda server, and that's the target-rich environment.
So where's the link?
Okay, so yeah, we will. That'll be the next step, right? We're going to 24/7, see what the lay of the land's like in there, run a few shows, and then make our way into other servers. Why not?
Maybe Elijah can help liaison that over to the Jane Fonda server.
Well, you're useless, so we'll have to ask him, won't we? When it came to 24/7, all you did was swoop in at the end and like, what's going on here? I've been in there forever. And I'm like, well, where were you helping me?
Smoke ban at the end. What the hell are you talking about?
What I say? Like a week into me saying, yeah, I need to branch out. We need to go into some new servers, and and assuring Righteous Force that we weren't going to desert him, things like that, And then a week later, you're like, why are you arranging this with Paul? I'm like, because Paul's arranging it. No other reason. You're like, yeah, but I've been there. It's like, well, have you liaised with them to make a nice little comfy landing for me to go into, or are you just here telling me how long you've been in the 24/7 server? Fascinating that it is, and I appreciate you're a OG 24/7 Discord server.
Yeah, but can you? Because really, if you think about it, he's been there how long, and yet they're still talking about gas having weight and star rotation the opposite way.
Shut up.
This shit should have been. This stuff
Shut
should have
up,
been straightened
Neil.
out already.
Shut
Can't
up.
help it.
It was only a nuanced point, dude, and it's already been corrected. It's not like the whole server is like, gas has weight.
A little
Hell.
leaven's the whole lump.
Yeah, but how long until it will, John?
Exactly.
Dilapidation over time.
That link you sent me, Paul, just takes me to an error page for YouTube for some reason, as opposed to taking me to the server.
Yeah, I just changed it because I copied it from the YouTube chat, and they do something squirrely with their links. Don't they?
Oh, okay. Accept invite, Earth Awakenings. So if I accept the invite that you've sent, does that just immediately get me in there?
You have to voice verify, I think, to chat.
Open Discord.
So what's gonna happen if you broadcast from 24/7, and even if somehow we can get you into politics, like people are going to come to the show. They're gonna want to interact and stuff like that. So we'll be able to do a little of the old school stuff, and we'll be able to do videos and share, like, kind of the way we're setting 2024 off with the that crowd over there. So new blood and a chance to really set the record straight.
Nice. Well,
I mean,
that's the hope of it, right?
Just one sec. When I look in Earth Awakenings, is that what it's called? Earth Awakenings? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yep. Jane Fonda server, yeah.
I thought Earth Awakenings was Gem Panda's server.
No. Humans of Earth or something else.
Oh, okay.
Debate Flat Earth and more, maybe?
So are they already having a stream? Because as I'm in the server now, I'm looking at it, and they've already got a similar arrangement to us, right? So it says they're live now, and then advertising that they're on Rumble, Odyssey, and Twitch, right? And then you've got Apocryphon and all the rest of it. So presumably they're already streaming. So they're not going to want me to just jump in to their server, verified or otherwise, and just start streaming, right?
You never know. Try it.
Exactly. They may welcome it.
You reckon?
It's easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission.
Just
Can
get your ass
I
in
even
there.
go in? Can I just join it like I'd join ours?
You probably won't have permission to speak until you've been
I'll talk to Joe
verified.
about it. I mean, he's free to come in here and
He's here.
whatever. Like, he can't take the shit over unless he is doing a show. Then yeah, he can take it over.
He's here right now.
They're discussing what we're discussing. Sorry, guys. Yes, I am running a show. I didn't know the logistics or politeness of joining something that's clearly a show you're already running. But I want to branch out and
No, it's all
say hello.
good.
No, we're just chilling. We're just flowing. I'm just a random guy, pretty new here. Benjamin, I think, is more of a veteran. We just talk about stuff.
Who do I actually ask? Who do I ask for
What's up,
forgiveness or permission? Who do I ask?
Probably Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy. Probably give him host.
Hello, Jeremy.
What's up? What's up, Oakley?
Do you mind me being here? I am producing a show, and I can tell that you are too, and I don't want to step on any toes. If I'm imposing,
That's fine. You can share audio. Just follow the rules. There's no no insults or nothing, and we'll be good.
I don't know the rules.
No doubt. It's all good then.
What are the rules?
Oh, just like no insulting, no name calling, shit like that.
Oh, standard stuff.
We were getting deep on vaccines and.
Relax. He's on air. Don't say to. He's not action on YouTube.
I like you guys already.
Oh man.
Excellent.
So we basically can't talk about anything now.
Yeah. Keep it YouTube friendly.
Of course you can talk.
Oh,
about
my
something.
bad.
I mean, there's a genuine reason why I'm branching out into different Discord servers, and it's because moving into 2024, the message that I want to put forth to people is that we should move as flat earthers on the front foot, telling people how Earth is dealt with, and seeking agreement where they appreciate it to be measured flat, rather than pointing out that they've been deceived, which puts you on the back foot with them resenting the fact that you are there, telling them how wrong they were and how deceived they've been. Whereas if you, for example, we had a neurologist, and the neurologist was telling us Earth's so big, that's why it's measured flat, demonstrating he has an appreciation of Earth being measured flat. Well, we should lead with that, so that they agree, rather than saying, you're stupid, you thought you were on a globe, you've been deceived, you need an open mind. That's what we've done to date. I want that to change. We're flat earthers, we know it's measured flat, let's highlight that in the first instance. That's the message I'm here for. There you go, that's my piece, I'm done.
Nice. We were talking about this earlier, I think a little bit, talking about just how do you frame it in a way that is kind of gets around the communication barrier around it, rather than trying to, prove them wrong on whatever context they want to create or that comes up.
Yeah, I don't generally like when I'm doing like street evangelism, I guess you could say. I don't hit them with that. I kind of have a couple of litmus tests to see where they're at, and then try to break down paradigms that I know are going to conflict with it before I jump headlong into, hey, there's not a spinning water ball flying to the infinite vacuum of space.
Yeah, we're trying to do the opposite of that. I think that's what Nathan's saying. Cut right through all of that. Earth is measured flat. That's it.
Not necessarily the opposite. As a reaction, yes, obviously you're going to get into the wrangle-dangle of debating about Earth being a sphere because that's your opponent's positive position. I get that. But I'm saying from a starting point, we should be asserting Earth is flat in terms of its measurements and seeking our opponent's approval with their also in place understanding that it's flat, rather than starting with Earth isn't a ball, you've been deceived.
That kind of helps with presenting burden of proof.
Exactly.
To bring a positive claim instead of attacking their claim.
Exactly. Rather than instigating their positive assertion that Earth's a sphere for you to argue against, making them the positive claimant and you the defendant of that claim that they've put forward in a positive light. But you've started it by saying Earth's not a sphere. It's like Earth is measured flat. As you well know, Globe Believer, you need it to be flat too.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, we know it's measured flat. They use rise over run when they build everything, is rise over run. It's definitely measured flat. I hear you.
Yeah. He's really pointing out something interesting, though. If you consider just the ability to communicate with an everyday person about this information without getting, like the knee jerk, okay, this guy doesn't even understand basic physics, and like getting into that argument or whatever, you actually kind of allow them to maybe figure out those inconsistencies themselves by making the claim the Earth is flat starting out, and then not creating any context, not giving them anything to go off of. Just like the truth is the Earth is flat, and if they want to present burden of proof for the opposition, you can jump in that natural conversation after that.
Plus, you have a certain amount of confidence that you can bestow on an audience. In our case, now collectively, because that's what we do. We communicate this to audiences. Well, you can have their assurance because of your confidence if you start with it as a statement of fact, which it is, as opposed to a positive claim that you need to defend and prove. Earth, you've given the example of rise over run. Perfect. We were discussing that yesterday. Also, that's a principle that you can stand on immediately without having to postulate it as a positive claim. It's a statement of fact. That's how we deal with Earth. Flat. Fact. Not up for debate, not up for discussion, a statement of reality.
Are we in another server right now? What's going on?
Yeah, I completely just dumped our server for this server. I'm a total whore. Completely fickle as they come.
It's not even like a debate. They use rise over run when they.
We're in Earth Awakenings.
Is that Jeremy?
Yeah, it is Jeremy.
Chocolate.
Yo,
what
Jeremy,
up?
what up, bro? Yo,
Lounging.
What it do, bro?
Lounging
Been a
on.
minute.
Chilling. Yeah.
Do you?
I like the merging.
I mean, yeah, we use Rise
Merging is
over
a
Run
good
to
thing.
build everything.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry to be running this server like
We
it's
use
mine.
Rise
It's not.
over Run when we build everything on.
Yeah.
You guys
exactly.
good?
Well, my point is that
We use Rise over Run when we build everything on Earth, and that's a baseline of a horizontal, and raising or lowering that is a rise or lowering of elevation, which obviously only works on a planar Earth with topography. So it's not even a. I don't even know what we're even still arguing about. This shit's over.
Perfect. You're already singing singing from my hymn sheet, which is beautiful. Perfect, Jeremy. Right? Yes, that with a lot more confidence in the tone. It is factually fat. That is how it is measured. That is how it is dealt with. You can't get around it. You can't debate it. You can't discuss it. So when you say, I don't even know why we're discussing this, yeah, that's the attitude. That's what I'm trying to instill in flat earthers. By comparison, I don't know how many of this server can remember the attitude that Rumpus would take with us back in 2015, 16, 17, where he would go out of his way to overtly state that, for example, sextants only work on a globe. That sort of outright, balls out, dogged confidence in a total lie. Now, what I'm suggesting is we take the same attitude, just without needing to lie like Rumpus had to. Earth's measured flat. No questions, ifs, buts, or maybes isn't a statement you'd make after that, just the statement. Earth is flat. And you can be confident in that because it's factually accurate. And the arguments that have been put forward over the last couple of years, starting with the Black Swan moving past the annihilated globe to proving Earth is measured, navigated, built on, in this example from Jeremy, flat. That's how we deal with it. So we shouldn't be on the back foot defending why Earth isn't a globe anymore as flat earthers. Why? That's the past. Yeah, we used to be on a globe, but my comparison is to say, if you were to leave Scientology as a cult, would you suddenly go back knocking on the gates, asking them to teach you more about how Scientology works so you can show them how it doesn't? No. But that's what we're doing. Knocking on the doors of heliocentrism and saying, look how it don't work. We should stop yelling through the gates of heliocentrism back at them about how Earth isn't a sphere and trying to unindoctrinate all the cult members who are still in that compound. Now they're stuck in the compound. What do you do as an alternative to telling them how wrong they are through the gates? You walk around with your head held high saying Earth is flat, that's how it is. Your confidence will shine, people will recognise that. But at the moment, all they get to hear is a constant false dichotomy argument about how the globe should or shouldn't work, how heliocentrism should or shouldn't work, how orbits do or do not match up with what we observe. All based in heliocentrism. None of it based in what we should have, which is an absolute assurance in the facts of the matter, which is Earth's measured flat. That's how we should be starting out.
Are you going to take some responsibility though for keeping that false dichotomy going for years?
What false? We don't have a false dichotomy. It's the globe's false dichotomy.
You kept that false dichotomy going for years.
Who's saying that? Sorry, just so I can know.
That's Merle.
Merle.
I recognize that voice any moment.
What's your screen name?
Yep.
Okay, who cares?
Space Monkey.
Space Monkey. Okay. Sorry, what's your question again, Space Monkey?
You were involved in keeping the false dichotomy going for years. That was always the criticism of you. When you first started, you used to interview people and be cordial. You want to hear their stories. Then you turned into this debate monster.
Debate monster? So what you're saying is I should have some
Debate
guilt for my journey through the false dichotomy, which I've also propped up. I will accept that guilt.
I think you should definitely take some responsibility for the toxic, vile venom you spat at the globe. Yeah.
Oh, shut up.
Merle, you haven't been an angel.
Everyone stop.
Hold on, guys.
Stop. Everyone stop.
And
I
then
want
they
to hear his
mimicked your
objection.
behaviour.
Fine.
They mimicked your behaviour, your toxic, vile stuff that came out of you.
Okay, I heard it the first time.
While you were the host of that show.
Okay, I heard the first time. Yes, I will take full ownership and responsibility for my toxic, vile behaviour and explain why. My toxic, vile behaviour was through a lack of confidence in my own subject matter. I did not know the Earth was flat. And my disdain permeated my every being and my every piece of my every existence because I was a flat Earth believer. and caught up in the feast of nonsense, perpetuating the false dichotomy that you now object to. And you're right to. And I should take ownership of that, and I should take responsibility of that. While I've got the likes of Paula on the panel, not my wife, telling me, this is unbroadcastable, I can't share this. You're poisonous to the people I want to share this with. And I've had to go, okay, I need to have some introspection, look at the mirror, recognise how ugly what I'm looking at is, and make some adjustments. Now, I can only have this conversation because I've already done this prior to you having this grievance, which I agree with. Might put a lump in my throat, but you're right. Toxic, poisonous, venomous, all of those words are true. That'll have to change for me to get my message across, and I will have to take ownership when you criticise me of it, as much as it puts a lump in my throat.
We've
Thank you
all
for the
gotten
criticism.
crazy. All right, Marla, you walk around. Don't walk around like you ain't been wilding either.
He's not on the. He's not the one. He's not the one preaching to you. I am. So he's. Why you do what you like? That's not my.
It's okay. I want you to know a lot of people out here have a lot of respect for you, Nathan. But just if you can just adjust a couple of things, you're fine. We're all learning. We're all the Darwin thing evolving, but we're learning, and I'm feeling it too, Nathan. It's a decade for some people, 2024. And a lot of people are reflecting about where we're going, how we can bring this home. So you're a leader in it. I just want to see, like, when I first discovered you, I actually reached out to you back in the day, and Antonio and whatever, but you used to bring people's stories out of them. You're a really good interviewer. You still just don't forget that other side of you. Okay?
Yeah, you've got to be careful you don't become the monster you're fighting against. And there is an aspect of that in me. I appreciate that. Now, it's not the first time I've had to assess my own demons. Done that in the past.
Yeah, me too. I like the monster.
Recently. I've had to do that recently. So, yeah, that's why I can so confidently cover the subject and immediately take ownership. It's not because you've given me a revelation on this spot. I've already made those assessments. I've already looked in the mirror. And you're right.
Good man. Good man.
Amen.
Me too, mate.
But let's not make this about me, because me, moving forward, I just want to give off an air of confidence to everybody who hears me talking about the subject of flat Earth. Now, if I can lead by example, if you perceive me in that way, fine, great. If you want to perceive me as a leader and you see that as positive, then great. What I will do to achieve that is to lead by example, to say, we are on a flat Earth, that is how it is measured. I've not added any of the caveats that I added previously when I've said that, which say, without having to argue about it, without having to debate about it, without having to question it, because it's a statement of fact. When you make the statement, it doesn't need any garnish, it doesn't need any caveats, because it's a statement of fact. Now, if we're in the positive assertion position of a flat Earth, we should make that clear. Go ahead.
They're claiming you were some sort of monster. So you just woke up one morning and started attacking people? There was certain events that transpired to get you in this position where you're a monster debater. I like the monster.
Well, I don't.
Well, that's Nathan's point. Nathan's point was that.
And Nathan recognized it like really early, even though it hadn't have a name. You felt it, Nathan, and you set that new standard. You put that heel in the sand and like, this is the place. This is where we should be, and not all this nonsense that was happening everywhere. All the flat earthers and like, oh, we're a movement. Oh, it's a religion. You recognized that very early, and that's what made you so hard. And there's nothing bad about it. Okay? If you think
I'll tell you right now,
Go on, tell us right now.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'll tell you right now, I came in like you did, Oakley. I saw your first videos. You were calm, peaceful, cordial. I came in like that too. I spent two years in Gems. I was a raging lunatic at the time. It was crazy. This changes you. I hear you.
I get that I could offer up mitigation to the objection that was immediately stamped down by Neil, as if to say it's unreasonable to call me a monster, right? Well, I could just mitigate for it. Yeah, we're dealing with monsters, and the way they behave makes me behave that way. But I'd rather qualify it by saying, be careful you don't become the monster you're fighting against. Just because I gave an example of Rumpus earlier, with his confidence backed by a lie, as opposed to his deceit, deception, his constant trickery and tactics. Those aren't things that are positive. But in past debates, those are tactics I've had to use because I've had a flat earth belief. But we're way past that now. I don't feel necessarily the need to become a monster. I could still get irritated when people constantly talk past 6 examples of the same debunking of their claim. That's going to irritate anybody. But what I'm not hopefully portraying is the monster they are back at them because I've become one. Well, I don't want this to be about me other than the attitude I'm taking towards the subject of flat earth, which is, it is a flat earth. Notice how every time I make the example, I'm not mentioning heliocentrism. As I mentioned at the beginning, all that does is get people's back up. Are you saying I'm wrong? It's easier to lie to somebody than to convince them that they've been lied to. Well, as soon as you start on the you aren't on a globe as you believe to be, they are going to be defensive. Starting with the, maybe you might listen to this and go, no, I can't start on the front foot of flat earth because I'll immediately get ridiculed. Yeah? How is that any different to anything that's changed? The only way that will change is if you know that's a fact and laugh off every stupid idiot nonsense that gets thrown at you from a globe believer when you state that as fact. And as you get better in debate, you'll learn how to find their examples of a globe that require Earth to be measured flat. So in other words, when you're dealing proactively with reactively to their globe claims, you're taking their claims and reinforcing the original premise you started with. Earth's measured flat. Oh, well, we've got orbits. Well, orbits that are derived from angle measurements off a flat plane of reference to give you the equatorial plane. Your orbits need a flat Earth. So you're always on the front foot. Not attacking, but it kind of is. Like, that's why I use Rumpus as the example. Not to emulate his scummy behaviour, but to emulate his confidence when he made declarations of fact like, sextants only work on a globe. Sextants only work on a flat Earth. Now, if you're going to move forward on the front foot, you might find yourself trolling globe believers and telling them things like Rumpus did. Sextants only work on a flat Earth. They do. But that's an attitude adjustment as opposed to an argument adjustment when we're all starting from the it's not a globe point of view.
Right, and when you start digging into it, that's when the Globers start to show you, like, oh, look, see, celestial navigation does work. You just go on a flat plane on the middle of the globe, and then inside of the globe, you take the angle, and that's supposed to represent the surface. And then you notice, like, wait, what the hell is
Angles
that?
from hell.
When I listened to QE last night,
yeah, you were listening to QE.
When I listened to QE last night, yeah. It appears, you said, you got to go forward with this as a statement of fact. But people were asking for, how is it measured flat then? Seems like they haven't had the presentation yet. They don't have that. That was the questions, like from Adam and people. They don't know how to explain that. How to move forward and gain more knowledge, and not just win a debate with a statement of fact.
I mean, it's not very hard to explain how Rise Over Run works. Hold on, somebody's got some echo.
I was going to say, we've got a bit of echo from someone in Discord. While that's being sorted out, I'm really sorry if you, again, cut it through your stream when I'm a guest. But I'm going to have to shout out to my super chats. I've got to pay the bills. So a couple of shout outs to my live audience. Really appreciate the support, first and foremost. So shout out to Sensual Goat. Going up to the soil in the sky. That's what they claim when they lie. And I die and lay me to rest. It's the soil in the sky that's the best. I think I've sung that terribly, but there we go. That was his super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Sensual Goat. Really appreciate it. Also, shout out to Godzilla37. This is Globers from 2015. Quote, you guys are complete morons. Complete idiots, end quote. Globers24. You guys are big meanies. Stop picking on us. Right on. Thanks for the super chats. I'm glad you've been welcoming, by the way, Earth Awakenings. This is all very nerve-wracking for me coming into new servers.
I mean, I came up off you personally. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't a lot of people doing this back then, and I learned a lot from listening to your show. I'm a whiz at the Coriolis. They call me the Coriolis kid.
Yeah, I was moaning about that with Owen Benjamin. Owen Benjamin demonstrated an exemplary understanding of the Coriolis effect, only to then go on and start regurgitating Dave Weiss feast of nonsense garbage about anti-globe stuff. Precisely what we're trying to brace against, literally moving into 2024. We've been doing it 4 days. Anyway, he hasn't realised that in the last 4 days we've had a change of attitude. Anyway, Owen Benjamin is good with the Coriolis effect, right, to the point where you may have seen Globe Earth Sniper, where he basically someone's taken his words and put it into cartoon form, where he's got a little jape of 2 guys saying, right, I'm just going to take into account the windage and adjust my sights, and brilliant, let's get the shot on target. And the guy next to him says, oh, what about the Coriolis effect? And details how Earth should be turning underneath. In other words, to make it into a comedy routine, you've got to know how the effect works, which he clearly does. So it kind of disappoints me that Owen Benjamin hasn't continued that, with one of the hardest subjects into some of the easier subjects that just demonstrate Earth's measured flat. Instead, he's like pausing my video that he's used as an example of gas pressure not needing requiring containment, and paused on the bit where it shows a model of the heliocentric model and saying that's what they say it is. It's like, we all need a focus readjustment. We've left the globe, right? We did it with NASA about 5 years ago. I don't know if you guys can remember when we were like, why are we knocking on NASA's door telling them it's fake still? Just turn your backs on these psychopaths. They're liars. We know they're liars. So hence, since then, on Flat Earth Debate at least, we've covered less and less and less of NASA because we've turned our backs on them. We know you've faked it all. We know space is fake, but that means we do very little coverage on NASA. We should be the same with the ball, right? It's like Scientology for an ex-Scientologist. Don't get me wrong, there's YouTubers that make a living growing up in Scientology, being one of the channels that I still watch, who makes a living out of covering Scientology when he's left Scientology. Well, I'm saying for us as flat earthers, we're not about highlighting the cult of the globe. The majority of the Western world's already in it. So we don't need to add fuel to that fire. We need to take a totally different route and turn our back on the globe. But that mental readjustment means, yeah, you might still need to be able to overcome globe arguments, but most of the people who are in this forum right now already have the tools and skills to be able to do that because that's all you've been trained in. It's like, well, from now, great, that's in your arsenal, marvellous. But moving forward, know you're a flat earther, know Earth's measured flat, and know that should be the first thing you're iterating to anybody who you happen to bring up this subject with. Great if you can overcome their globe rebuttals, if they offer you them when you're the positive claimant, with a statement of fact as a starting point.
Well, I don't want you to jump on NASA too much. As a hostile witness, NASA is a cut above the rest for using a flat plane and telling people about it.
Yeah, we do reference them as a hostile witness for using a flat plane. That makes them useful in more recent times, last year maybe.
What is the proof you offer then? We have to offer along with the statement.
We just offered one. So, for instance, NASA, when they're describing the plane of the ecliptic or the equatorial plane, all of those descriptions that NASA will offer you are with reference to a horizontal plane of reference, a flat Earth. It's required for their orbital motions. Every single globe
NASA
proof.
measured it flat.
Say again.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying
what I should say if somebody asks me. NASA measured it.
You can say that it's navigated flat. If you want to just take an example that's less contentious, I mean, I'm giving you an example with a hostile witness. You don't have to do that. It's just a rewiring of the mentality. Earth is navigated flat. The maps are flat. They're taking elevation angles to a surface that's been plotted flat and has a grid system that's measured flat, the latitude and longitude system. It's measured with flat angles to Polaris, getting bigger as you move away from it. Well, those angles, as they decrease to the horizon,
horizontals, isn't it? Yeah, measured off horizontals. But what I struggle with is where is the flat bit?
What you're dealing with when you navigate it is an area of equal elevation. So when you draw out that circle around,
measured out off of a horizontal for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
but that doesn't vary in relation to the ground under my feet. Where is the flat bit? Because I don't see a flat bit. I see elevation change up and down. I don't.
Elevation
I'm-
change. Okay, let's start with that. Okay, so I'm suggesting, before I give you my example with respect to your example, like I'm suggesting you do with globe heads, you take their example and show how Earth is measured flat with it. Did you say that there's changes in elevation?
I mean, not only is it rise over run,
I'm jumping to that. Hold on, sorry, Jeremy. Sorry, just one
hold
sec,
on a
Jeremy. I just want to get to the end of this with is it Elder Bear?
Go ahead.
Elder Bear.
What's your name? Sorry.
Yeah. Elder Bear.
You said there's elevation differences in elevation. You say, correct?
Yeah. There's, yeah.
How do you qualify those differences in elevation? Do you know?
Well, you could get a horizontal reference point and measure elevation change.
So with
but
respect,
what I hear described is that it's in relation to the sea level.
So
somewhere, because of the sea has a mean sea level, that's where the flat bit of the Earth starts. And I
Yeah.
don't see where that is.
You don't
It's this
appreciate.
flat baseline. That's what I'm trying to find. A flat baseline.
Yeah, you've just
Where is
described
it?
a horizontal plane of reference, though, haven't you? With respect
Yeah, but
to
that's not the Earth. That's not the Earth.
So when you're
can establish
describing,
a horizontal
okay,
plane,
I just need to respond
same
to
as
you.
a horizontal.
I got you. I heard it all. I just need to be able to
Give me a second,
respond to
Nathan.
you. Is that okay?
Give me a second, Nathan. Elder Bear, when you ask your question, please let the other person respond. You just can't keep
Yeah,
interrupting
sorry.
in the middle of his.
There's a bit of a lag on my phone. That's all.
Okay. So you're describing the differences of elevation with respect to a horizontal baseline. That's Earth and its differences in heights with respect to Earth as a plane, as a reference. So overall, the topology and how high or low it is with respect to Earth as a horizontal plane of reference. Earth is flat to describe these elevation changes that you objected to Earth being flat with.
But there isn't a horizontal on the Earth.
So how do you know
In
the differences
Earth
in
under my
height?
feet
So
to
how do you
measure
get-
to
so how do
measure
you-
from that horizontal.
Yeah,
You can
I got you
establish a horizontal.
I
with
heard
a
you the
tool.
first time. It's the same objection you just raised, and I said, how do you describe differences in elevation then?
Well, you can establish it off a horizontal reference point.
So a horizontal
doesn't
plane of
mean the Earth
reference
is
then.
flat.
So we are establishing the differences in height
not
on
the Earth.
Earth with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. So that's a flat Earth then.
There isn't the Earth. There
So
isn't
when
the
you're
Earth.
describing heights of elevations of stuff on Earth, it's not the Earth.
You can
It is
create
the
a
Earth. Why are you
horizontal plane of
disagreeing? It
reference.
is the Earth.
No, it
Absolutely.
isn't. Well,
Is the
that's what I
horizon
mean. Where is
horizontal?
that horizontal? I can't go outside and just use.
You established
and
it from.
use
Hold on.
You established it with your description from sea level, the mean. That's what you described.
Yeah, but that's not the Earth. The
Oh, is
sea
it not?
the Earth, is
Sea level isn't Earth.
No.
Why is it everything
No, it's
has
not.
to? Why is
Water.
it that when we come to referencing differences in elevation or anything that has to do with navigation, we're having to establish Earth as a horizontal plane of reference. We're referencing it, and then you say it's not Earth.
To the plane of the
I
horizon.
haven't finished. We're referencing Earth, and then you tell me it's not Earth, and then jabber through me while I explain that horizontal plane of reference is Earth. That's exactly what it
Water's
is.
not Earth,
And you just keep interrupting me, telling me it isn't, like I haven't heard you 5 times. Can I get to the end of my statement? Horizontal plane of reference, that's what you will reference when describing Earth. Response from you, it isn't Earth. Yes, it is.
Right. When you talk about the horizon to establish your
think Jeremy
horizontal,
was- I
that's
think
where
Jeremy was
sea
next.
level meets the earth or sky. So you need the sea to be a level horizontal plane of reference to establish your horizontal to begin with, bro.
Yeah, I think
I just want everyone to know. Hold on, real quick. I just want everyone to know. Most of us here do not share this crazy elevation change thing, and I try to not even give this a lot of time because it's kind of like
Isn't it? But that's
irrelevant.
reality,
But
though.
hold on, man. Hold on. You can go next. Yeah, I like to ask these people, is the horizon horizontal? Because they'll probably tell you yes. That's Earth, right?
Yeah, that's
Horizontal Earth.
That's utilising
No,
the
the-
horizon
the-
to establish
the
a
plane of the
horizontal plane of
horizon.
reference also, yes.
If I can add something, Nathan. It's a
yeah.
fallacy of composition to say that the water is not the Earth. Or division, fallacy of division. Am I correct? Yes?
Yeah, I heard him say that.
That's identity. Isn't that identity?
Either
Water
way,
isn't the Earth, is it?
either way, to
So let's
describe
get back to
elevation,
it, though.
either way, Earth must be
Hold on.
established and referenced as flat. This is a fact.
The water, that's a mean sea level, an average.
An average of how flat it
Yeah,
is.
so let-
Yes, an average of how level the Earth is to be referenced. Yes, an average of how level Earth is, sea level, level being the Earth that you're referencing for heights of the Earth, that is the Earth that you said it wasn't. That's where we're at. It is. You're just incorrect. I'd like you to establish and understand that when we're referencing a horizontal plane of reference, that's the ground that we're dealing with. We are referencing it. And you say it's not Earth. You're just wrong. I'd like you to acknowledge that.
So it's mean Earth flatness. Is that what you say?
Yeah,
it is?
sea level, that's part of Earth. Yeah, the
Remember-
level that it gives you, yes, that's Earth. Yes, we're dealing with Earth when we deal with that. Yes, we're referencing a horizontal plane, that's Earth. Yes, yes, absolutely yes. Why are you asking me 6 times? Yes.
Because I'm not walking on a flat Earth.
Oh, so we're not walking on the
Even
height.
if the sea,
So
even
we're
if
not
the
walking.
water is level.
We're not walking on different heights of things that you objected with.
Yo, Oakley, add in proportion to the whole, it's a level plane for the gentleman because he's referencing topography. And yo, what up, Oakley? Big up.
Hey, Asa, good to have
It's
you.
a
You've got a lot of,
topographical plane.
you've got lots of.
So what about
Right.
the
So in,
land?
in proportion to the whole, we deal with it as a level plane.
Yeah,
well,
it's a
you
it's a
may-
plane
you
with
may well do.
topography.
Yes.
I mean,
so Earth is measured flat. That's what it is. It's flat. We're referencing it flat. It's being measured flat. We're dealing with it flat. And we've got flat mean measurements of it flat. So Earth's measured flat then. We all clear?
What about the Earth under that then?
Under the mean
Not
sea
only
level.
that, but
Sorry, what does this non
What about
sequitur
the
do?
Earth under the mean sea level?
Sorry,
Is that
what does
hanging
this
underneath,
do?
hanging on the baseline?
Sorry, so are we conceding now that it is Earth, my friend?
No.
I see.
No, because underneath the sea level is Earth too. Is that hanging on the baseline? How does that work?
There's curvy bits beneath the flat part.
Is he spending too long in
Well,
bed?
you're establishing this kind of flat.
Hold on a second. Before we come in,
Give me a
guys,
second, y'all.
right,
Give me a second.
we'll just establish his objection and then we'll address it. His objection. Underneath the horizontal plane of reference, we must have to reference that is Earth so we can describe differences in elevation. He's saying the differences in elevation underneath sea level used to establish those differences in elevation when referencing a flat Earth isn't flat under the horizontal plane of reference that we use to reference Earth as a flat plane. That's his objection. Adam, it seemed like you wanted to address that. Feel free.
Yeah, I think there's 2 points of argument there. The first is the gotcha he thinks he's got where water isn't sea. But fundamentally, dude, you referencing something underneath your point of reference, yeah, or referring to something, you're still using that flat plane of reference. Now, whether that's mean sea level, the sea level, wherever it is, it's still a flat plane that is the surface. This is the trick with the ballers. They do not have the surface being the same thing as their established planes. For us, it is. Yeah.
What was the knowledge you were looking for last
Just to bring
night?
us back to something real quick though. Just to bring us back to something real. We know it's flat because they're doing Euclidean geometry on the surface, right? If it was concave or convex, they couldn't be doing Euclidean geometry. They laid America and England out in grid squares, 90-degree angles, straight lines. So we know it's a plane with topography.
Actually, the elevation changes from a point.
Nobody's denying.
Sorry, it's a bit further. Sorry, did you say elevation changes from a point? Do you believe sea level is a point?
Well, from wherever that was established in each country, from from a mean, but the sea,
Sorry, that doesn't
is
answer
not
my
a
question.
constant.
You said a
and down.
point. I heard what you stated. You said with reference to a point,
From
and I asked
whichever
you,
point,
is sea
whichever
level a point?
The guy was talking. The
Is sea
guy
level
was.
a point?
I don't know where it was measured from, but he was talking about.
Bear.
Yo, is the horizon tangible?
Isa, what's
Guys, I just need to establish from the guy that said that it's with reference to a single point when we're describing, referencing the Earth, that he said it isn't and still disagrees because it's from a single point. That's his next argument. No, sea level's not a single point.
No,
It
I'm
is
not
a
saying
point
that.
on all vertical datums. If you want to
The guy
describe
who
it
was
that way,
talking,
that would be a horizontal.
the guy was talking about measuring the land wherever he was measuring it, and that was how it was measured. And yeah, that was measured from some datum point, wasn't it? Wherever he's talking about, I don't know. Different in different countries where they established it and started from. Wherever
The
that
reason
may
they
be, I
use
don't know
mean
where
sea
that was.
level
Whatever
is
what
because
may
of
be.
tide.
You're being quite careful with your words. Where it may be. What, sea level? That's a single point.
I don't know where they measured it from. I don't know what he's
Measure
talking
what?
about.
What's it?
What he's referencing.
What's it? What's it that they're
Well,
measuring?
it
Sea
could be-
level?
Yeah, that's our elevation in this country. In the UK, it's measured from the elevation change from wherever they started
From
from
sea
the sea
level.
level.
From sea level, not a single point then, as you just
Yeah,
declared. Not a
point.
single point then.
Yeah, but that's not.
So, but why are you talking through me? You've proven wrong. You've just declared it's a single point, and now you won't stop yammering through the fact that you're wrong for the second time. No, sea level's not a single
Well,
point
because
that
that
they're
was
referencing. It's with respect to the Earth as a flat plane of reference, all of it. That's Earth being referenced. You've disagreed, and now you're saying it's a single point. That's also wrong. And when you keep going into the single point you defend, you say, it. No, sea level. My question was, is sea level a single point?
Well, which point was it measured? Was they?
That's a question for me rather than an answer. So I'm being asked something. You said it was a point.
That is a point, though.
No, it's not.
It's a
Sea level's not a
somewhere.
point. No, it isn't. That's wrong.
Well,
Again, you're wrong.
Where was the first datum point positioned?
Right, single datum point for sea level?
In the UK.
Single datum point for sea level. Sea level has a single datum point. Why am I being yammered through? I asked a simple question. Is it a single point? Sea level. It isn't. Sony silence now.
I mean, you could put this argument to bed.
I don't need someone else to help him. I've got a stony silence and then someone else sees that as their opportunity to talk. No, it's okay. He's wrong. It's not a single point. Every time I make this argument, I get a stony silence when we get to the concession that he doesn't make. I don't need anybody else to interrupt. It's not a single point. It's establishing Earth, that's the ground, as a horizontal plane of reference. That's Earth being flat when we establish it with sea level. It's not a single point. You are wrong.
Yeah, the water's level, you're right.
Right, so that's Earth being measured flat then. You seem to want to disagree with me and my total confidence in the fact that Earth is absolutely and unequivocally being established as flat. You disagreed. You were wrong.
Somebody says, how was it proved to be measured flat?
Because you've measured it flat. That's how you prove it, because you've just measured it as a horizontal plane of reference. That's measuring it flat.
No, I just measure. I don't measure flat. I measure.
Yes, you do. That's what you did when you referenced Earth, the horizontal plane of reference with sea level that isn't a single point. It's Earth as a horizontal plane of reference. That's measuring Earth flat.
What about the stuff underneath it then?
Sorry, back to your do-si-do round the circle straw man, because you can't concede you're wrong with your single point that it isn't. It's Earth as a horizontal plane of reference. Not new question from me about what's below the horizontal plane of reference with non-stop constant interruption because you've been proven wrong. That's not necessary.
Listen, when I first came into this, people pointed out the contradiction of the globe, and the biggest thing they pointed out to me.
That's fascinating. I came to this subject doing the same, and now I point out Earth's measured flat and have numpties like you telling me that sea level is a single point. I'm dealing with numpties who don't appreciate Earth is actually measured flat, and they decide that they're just going to waffle their nonsense about how they came through this subject after I've proven them wrong. Earth is established as a horizontal plane of reference. You said that was wrong, and you are wrong. You don't need to constantly interrupt and yammer through me. It's not going to work.
Give me 1 second.
I think I know where his
need to
misunderstanding
both of
is.
y'all calm down. It is very audio chaos when both of you are talking at the same time. You need to be one at a time at all times.
If you think this is, good leadership on your behalf,
Elder Bear.
I don't agree. You're not mine.
Earth is measured flat. I'm not going to listen to an ad hom. Not interested in what you perceive my behaviour to be. Earth's measured flat. You've established it flat. Horizontal, that's a plane of reference. So while I'm saying this, the guy in Discord's now talking straight through me, just for your benefit, Bookfin. He's moaning about audio chaos, so I was in the middle of a sentence. He doesn't like it because he's wrong. Therefore, he's jabbering through the top of me. You could stop him, or you can moan about the audio chaos he's causing. Meanwhile, I'm saying Earth is measured flat. You've measured it flat. You've established a horizontal plane of reference. You've conceded it's not a single point. Now you want to move on to a different subject. No, I'm here to tell you that's the starting point. Earth has been and is in your example measured flat. It's not a single point. It's Earth being established as a horizontal plane of reference. That's the fact of the matter we will start with. I'm telling you, not asking you. That's not a debatable point.
Oakley, I understand your frustration with this. It's ridiculous. Elevation changes, so it's borderline silly. It's pretty silly.
Making sure I
But
Hold on, he
there's
doesn't
another
he
way.
doesn't have confidence.
Now, everyone on my panel.
Hold
Everyone
on,
in my
man.
panel, just stop for a second. The guy who constantly is interrupting has now been server muted. I did not do that. The reason he was server muted is because he cannot contain himself when wrong, like a globe believer. He's incorrect. Earth's measured flat and established flat. His example made that clear. Then he denied that established Earth, the thing you're referencing, as flat because it wasn't Earth. Then it wasn't underneath the reference that was horizontal plane of reference for Earth. These objections are non-stop because he's been proven wrong. Someone in this server, not me, put him on mute.
May I try to help him with his
rumpusing the hell out of
understanding?
you. I muted him.
I don't blame you.
Hold on, can I just finish my thing real quick? This argument is ridiculous. The Earth's not flat because of elevation changes. They use rise over run. They laid the UK and America out in grid squares, 90-degree angles, straight lines. You can't do that if it's curving. It has to be flat.
Yeah, but what about underneath?
Well, I think I know what his problem is.
Well, the abyssal plains that cover 70% of the Earth's surface. Those
Yes.
flat
The thing
plains-
is, he doesn't have.
Just
Sorry,
let
he
John.
doesn't have confidence. John, give
Neil,
him confidence.
Neil, can you
John.
hear John trying to get an example out for the fourth time?
Sorry.
Right. You establish a horizontal plane of reference at your eye level. That eye level will be parallel with mean sea level, which is another horizontal plane of reference. Both of those horizontal planes of reference will run parallel with whatever sea level you're measuring at the time. The horizon is where sea level meets the sky. They are all interdependent and dependent upon Earth being measured as flat.
Perfect. Good summary. But yet we're objected to. I don't really understand why people who claim to be flat earthers object to us saying Earth's measured flat and referenced as flat when they reference it as flat and then tell us it's not the Earth. That seems utterly absurd. But that's what this guy had just did. I don't really know why. And he's presumably buggered off now. He's been muted by somebody who hosts the server. Rather than constant chanting through me, which is what he decided to do when he was proven wrong. Now, this is what we're going to be stamping out. That's why we're here. Right? Excellent and successful trip to Earth Awakening server, because instantly, when one of your own people on your own panel are putting forward claims that Earth is being referenced as a horizontal plane of reference, they then want to tell you that that's not Earth, that isn't proving Earth measured and referenced flat, when that's precisely what it is. I don't know why this is happening, but it is, and we're going to stamp it out.
Because they're hanging
It's just
out
some
in globe servers. That's
semantic
why.
argument that's
Go on, whoever that was killed
Dude,
something.
it's like I'm witnessing an extinction level event and the targeted people are Globers. I actually absolutely love it.
The targets of people aren't.
Hey, can I
Globers,
ask
they're flat
Nathan and the crew a question?
They're flat earthers that need more confidence in their
Here we
assertions.
go.
Go on, tank front something.
I think it was SC. SC was going to ask a question.
Yeah, I'd like to
It's a
ask
big
Nathan
one.
and the boys a question,
Feel free, SC.
if I may.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I was just wondering, I want to put this out. You guys, Nathan and the crew there, if somebody was to ask you what shape the Earth is as a whole, what would your answer be?
I'd say I don't know if it even has a shape. The aspect that we can measure and use to navigate, build on, etc., is flat. An aspect isn't a shape. So I don't know.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Nice. Thank you.
I told you we don't claim it. No one's claiming a
It's
shape, bro.
just true. All it is.
I just wanted to get that out of the way. That's all. Good. This
All
is
right.
good. This is good.
But the part we're on is measuring flat in all aspects. England, America, rise over run. Like it's just they're measuring it flat everywhere we go.
All right, here's one from National Geographic. Sea level is the base level of measuring elevation and depth on Earth.
Yeah. So I don't understand entirely why we've got flat earthers that object to this and say it's not Earth being measured when we describe how Earth is measured. Very specifically, how Earth is measured flat. That's not Earth, is the response. It's so alien to me and confusing. But good, we're obviously on the right track to be doing this.
Like I said, ask them if the horizon's horizontal. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna say, yeah, the horizon's horizontal. Then they'll tell you it's not land meeting the thing. It's water, and the water. Like it's just. I don't even like to give this a lot of airtime, honestly, because it's crazy.
So, Oakley, question for you. All these different cities and townships that have been built observing level, because we know when those contractors go out and they put down their 6 to 12 foot levels to make sure that whatever they're building is in fact level. Would you say that those are not all witnesses to observing level? You've got Southern Hemisphere observations, cityscapes built in Australia. You've got Northern Hemisphere cityscapes built observing level. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you've answered your own question. If they're all built level and that's level, well, I don't really understand what you're asking.
Problem is,
I guess at that point,
level,
from a
everybody knows what
Glober's
the definition of level is until this conversation pops up. Right? Level is the same for everybody in the world until you have to defend the globe. That's the only time the definition of level has to change a little bit. Right? Why would that be? Why is that a thing?
Also, you mentioned hemispheres.
Even the National
What do you mean, Killian? Is it Killian?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by hemispheres? When you said hemisphere, north and south hemisphere, what do you mean by that?
On either side of the equator. To say I'm in Australia, I'm on the south side of the equator. To say that I'm in Tokyo, I'm on the north side of the equator.
That's not describing a globe hemisphere, as I now take it you are inferring. That's begging the question that Earth's spherical.
No, I'm not. I wasn't. When I say the hemisphere, I wasn't referring to the ground location, so to speak. Referring to the potential of there being an observed sky dome over us, a celestial sphere, if you will.
There is. That's how it's mapped.
Right. So the reference of the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere is
No.
That's not problematic, is it?
Celestial. If you just go on, John.
You're invoking a hemisphere. Yeah. There are two hemispheres in the globe model, aren't there? But when we're talking about a celestial dome, then we have a hemisphere of our own individual celestial dome wherever we are. But there's an infinite number of celestial domes based on where you stand. They're not located in a north and a south celestial dome. One's a vision thing, but when you say hemisphere and you're relating to the, you are invoking a globe at that point. And that's why there was the instant objection.
It's hard to snap out of. I still use the word atmosphere sometimes,
But no, that's actually a very, very fair point, because the idea of hemisphere, you invoke it because words mean stuff. So that's a good point. So if you're referring to the difference between being south of the equator versus north of the equator, without saying located north of the equator, south of the equator, what would you refer to those locations as, Nathan?
No, exactly that. North of the equator, south of the equator. The equator itself is arbitrarily just derived from a flat plane minimum elevation angle measurement to Polaris in the first instance. So this concept of the equator can't be described with hemispherical antipodal positioning, because you're describing something that has an angle measurement to give you the arbitrary line we call the equator, a circle, at the minimum elevation angle to Polaris off a flat plane. So that the system the maps is using when describing a globe can get transposed because you have this concentric circle system coming from Polaris. So rather than Adam's description of your personal perspective dome of reference from your view now, that can relate directly to a grid system that's been taken from Polaris, a fixed star in the sky that you can measure outwards from on a flat plane to give you that grid system. But as soon as you move into invocation of hemispherical surfaces, because you're moving beyond the equator, well, what? Moving beyond the arbitrary point that you can't see Polaris if you extrapolate out the minimum angles as you move towards the equator, not taking into account the fact that you get a difference in the rate that it changes as you reach the equator, and then go beyond it and measure it on a flat plane to eventually see it actually disappear. All of these concepts mean nothing in terms of hemispherical positioning for us to stand on, because they're all derived from a flat plane. Just say one more thing. I'm about to round up my live show. First of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm so relieved that this went better than I expected. I thought we'd be far more I thought the reception would be far more hostile, and it hasn't been. So thank you for that. Moving forward, all of the examples that any globe believer comes to you with will start with a flat plane. And I'll give you one of my panel's quotes from Refracted Curvature. Say hello, John. Excellent timing. You guys need a flat plane more than we do. End quote, Refracted Curvature. Now, that was in reference to a discussion with a ball believer who came on and started making his position for a globe by using, as all of them will, flat Earth reference planes to start with. It won't matter what globe example they come up with. They're going to need a flat plane for it. Now, with that being the case, if you as a flat earther move forward into this discussion, knowing that Earth is measured flat, and start with that as your starting point, when you get opposition from a globe believer, you can start taking their examples and showing them where their examples require a flat plane to use, to give them their globe example. Now, if they're a reasonably well-educated globe believer, there'll be many instances where they will agree with you because they know they need a flat plane to measure angles, for example. They might start mitigating it with tangent planes, and that would lead to you having to have a better understanding of how their heliocentric model doesn't work. But in the first instance, you've sought out a positive affirmation from them that they're going to require a flat plane to get angles from in this instance. That's them on the back foot. We're now moving forward into the discussion in 2024 on the front foot with a positive affirmation of a statement of fact that Earth's measured flat, and then taking globe heads examples that come back in rebuttal to our positive position and showing them how they need a flat Earth for it. That, to me, seems like it would be far less antagonistic to our opponents, and in rebuttal to their claims that they make, show them where they need a flat plane for their claims. That could change the tides of attitude in flat Earth. Not in our zealot opponents, they'll never change. But in the attitude of us and how we put this information out to the public, that will resonate with everyone who hears it and goes, that attitude that I'm not stupid and haven't got an open enough mind is gone. And now it's, I also understand how Earth was always flat. That's how it was always dealt with. I appreciated it from my globe proof that I held, rather than your globe proof's wrong. I hope that's clear. I've reiterated about 6 times in this server. That's what I'll be saying every time I come back. And thank you for having me in the server. Really do appreciate it. Got one more super chat to read out.
No
Godzilla
doubt,
says,
man.
best
Good
show in
talk.
a long minute. 4 more hours, maybe, in the after show. Don't want to outstay my welcome, Godzilla. Thanks for the super chat. Can I come again?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, sure. Come anytime. I mean, it's all good. It's all good.
Excellent. Well, you will see
Good
more of it.
afternoon, Nathan.
Who was that? That sounded like Flatsy.
Stacy?
Oh,
No.
is it Stacey? Oh, hey, Stacey.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, honey. How are you doing? I hope you're
Very
doing well.
Yes, it is. I'm
Good. Good
I'm
to
feeling
hear.
confident. I'm feeling more confident than ever having come into this server, to be perfectly honest, because of A, the
Really?
warm reception. B, I can't believe my luck in terms of the guy opposing us when he are describing measuring Earth flat, and he opposed it. Perfect. Couldn't have been better. I couldn't have asked for more. This was an absolute total success. Wonderful. Couldn't be more pleased.
That, please. Seriously, we try to keep it very civil here in ways, but have that conversation. So I hope you can get more, and content, especially out of it too. So nice to have you here.
Stacy, what up?
What up, Stace?
Yeah, and if somebody's
Or
interrupt while
even
you're
ab-
speaking, we'll definitely stop that from happening here, Nathan.
No,
Same way the other
I know
way.
a lot of your names. You included Bookfin. You know, there's a lot of familiar faces in it. I'm looking up and down the list, and that's nice. But by the same token, this is definitely we're the guests here, and I appreciate that. And we're here to lay down the law as well. So this is a fine balancing act that I've got to kind of perform while I'm in other people's servers. But I hope this is a starting point for that message that I've reiterated 7 times, that we should be proactively on the front foot with Flat Earth from this point forth.
Somebody's got to do it, Nathan. And I can't think of a better guy than you, Chewy. You know, everybody that has these rock solid proofs that Earth is flat.
Indeedy weedy.
That the stationary topographical plane has is literally direct evidence. Every single piece of globe evidence is all circumstantial, and this is why we bring it forward, we talk about it, we understand it, we suss it, so that we can get the bottom of it for ourselves, so that we can tell other people and spread the truth as we understand it to be, instead of having to constantly appeal to these other authorities.
Yeah, I want to get into some conversation of this stuff where Nathan and crew say space is fake. Like, I get what they're saying, but I know what it means. But yeah, I just want to.
You serious?
I'd rather get into the how the Earth is flat, like how they measure it flat. That's good shit right there.
Exactly. What we have here is anti-Nathan Oakley's.
Right, SE Montreal is somebody who's had the thick end of my tongue enough times for me to offer him that olive branch that makes my words far less meaningless. Yeah? I don't want to pay lip service to what I've just said on that live show. Go ahead, SE Montreal. If you've got an objection, feel free.
It's not an objection. Me and you, we had some words because of a certain angle, which was unfortunate because you muted me. But I let that go. That's not an issue. But since we're here collaborating, right? I just wanted to bring that up. Like, you
guys, come on.
Sorry.
Just plow through it.
He poisoned the well immediately, Nathan. Come on.
Let it go, Neil. Let it go, Neil. Just for this moment.
Go ahead, SE
Neil
Montreal.
seems to have a beat. Like,
I
don't understand why.
Well done, Neil. Now he's going to focus on that. Stay with me, please.
I'm not, man.
Space
I'm
and sky
not talking mean
vacuums.
or
We can
anything.
do this. Yeah, SE Montreal.
I wasn't disrespectful. I just made a simple statement that I like the collaboration and we should have more conversation. And one of the things was, you guys say space is fake. That's all I said. And I get a lot of feedback, but people telling me, what do you mean space is fake? So that's all I'm saying. I'm not downing or,
Okay, do you want a better
May I
phrase?
clarify?
Okay, well, you can, rather than giving you a clarification, because I'm pretty sure he knows what we mean, he's already said that. A better phrase, gas fills...
Just wait a sec there, Nathan. Why was I unmuted?
I don't know.
Why was he unmuted? That is the question.
Don't know, it's not my server, Space Monkey, sorry.
Let's just go.
Gas
I
filled
know.
space.
Let's just go one at a time, please. Oakley, go ahead.
Gas filled space is a better phrase, because it does.
Yeah. Like, that's my only thing. Like, when that statement comes out, space is fake, right? It sounds a little bit ridiculous. That's all I'm saying.
It's not because it's
we're
not
left
qualified.
defending it.
Yeah, because it's not qualified in any way.
Yes.
Unicorns are fake.
Exactly.
Well, okay. Because of what? Because there's no proof of their existence. There's no qualification for them being real. That's a qualification for the statement. Well, if you just say space is fake, or more accurately, outer space, the sky vacuum, is fake, then that's how I'd phrase it, because I've incorporated the word sky vacuum, which leads me to explain the second law of thermodynamics and how gas fills space. But if you just say space is fake, that means nothing. Outer space is fake. Gas fills space.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. Because when I say it, I say, look, I don't know what's out there, but I know for sure it ain't a vacuum, right? So that's not saying anything is fake. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's akin to...
Well, you could say heliocentric space is fake.
And we do.
Why?
No,
when
even
don't
then,
we clarify it?
Even then, it doesn't qualify why. Does it, John?
Exactly.
No, but you can say because gas fills space.
Exactly. It's the same. It's the same as saying you're going to need a flat Earth for that, right? We've been prior to us coming to this server, we've had a hell of a lot of discussion about how we're going to pose this to people like yourselves in this Discord server, and the objection was if it's unqualified, you're going to need a flat Earth for that. When a positive claim comes from the front-footed globe believer, and you're reacting to it with you're going to need a flat Earth for that, that was objectionable to many of the panel, rightly so, because it's unqualified and reactive. Moving forward and saying Earth is measured flat is a factual statement of truth that can easily be qualified, but doesn't have to be when it's their need for a flat plane also on the globe side. You can move forward on the front foot with that. But just saying you're going to need a flat Earth for that doesn't mean anything. Space is fake. Globe is fake. Doesn't mean anything. It's not a modus tollens.
Exactly.
It's not a second law of thermodynamics. It's not a measurement of an elevation angle. It doesn't qualify at all. You're right.
Okay, cool. That's all I'm saying, man. Respect. I mean, I got nothing but respect for you guys.
Any other little things, Montreal? What else?
Why are you so hostile,
dude,
Neil?
You gotta be. You should not even talk, bro. I don't even know why you're talking. Just close your mouth.
Anything else?
You gotta forgive Neil. He's Italian.
That's my advice to you.
That's all
All
I
you
ask.
do is just come in the background like a little mouse.
Well, maybe ask.
Be quiet. Let the big boys talk.
Maybe let me ask him,
Relax,
Montreal.
guys.
Why are you being so hostile, Neil? What's the deal?
He knows
I don't
damn
get it.
well why I'm hostile. Stop coming here and being all friendly when you know the shit you talk about when Nathan's not present.
Stop.
You're a bunch of phonies.
Stop. Coming here? We're guests in their server, Neil. What are you doing?
That was pretty funny.
Don't you bring Neil the Pitbull Cosentino into a room and not expect him to react?
What else?
Damn. Have a coffee or something, bro.
Can I say one thing too? Is regardless what's been said or not said, the opportunity for these two to meet up and speak is happening. So they've had their opportunity. So regardless, it shouldn't be anybody's worry but these two right now.
It's been, with all due respect, like it's been nice, and we very rarely talk about like Oakley or whoever. Like very rarely. You might get that one person come in that said something, but that's not what it's about, man.
Good, because I don't want it to be about that. I want it to be about a community of people who I've grown to hate, and I'll hate them because they don't prove Earth's flat. They argue about how Earth's not a globe, and like I said in the live show, I see that as people banging on the door of Scientology when they've left it already. And if we can have an attitude adjustment, as you can probably tell, this isn't about me, Rakia. It's not about. I appreciate Stacey's sentiment. She's like, obviously, it's going to generate you income. That's a different hat, and yeah, I'm glad that you appreciate that. Yeah, this is my living, but that isn't my motivation in this regard. My motivation is for the community that I've grown to dislike, because I hear a sentiment that we shouldn't have any more 10 years into the argument. We know it's flat now. Let's have that as our attitude. I know it's flat. What do you mean you want to punt your globe stupid face? I moved away from that years ago. I don't care. That's my attitude, and I want that to rub off on other people. And if that takes me having to have a lot of humility and apologise to people like I see Montreal along the way, I'll do it, if that's what it takes. Not because I want to earn more money, though. But I do want to earn more money. Please smash the super chat.
Hey, I reciprocate that, Nathan. I got no hard feelings towards you, bro. Really, I don't. We had a little misunderstanding of a stupid, silly angle, whatever. I got no beef with you. Now, Neil, you need to calm down, bro. I got no beef with you either.
Good. I don't think we as a group, for the most part, all react to each other the same. That is to say, you will hear disdain and swearing and hostility in my G+ panel between panel members. Doesn't mean the following day they won't just get on the same panel and say hello to each other and welcome each other. I see you as that person, Montreal, and many of the familiar faces in this Discord server, I might add. That is to say, there's no hard feelings with anybody. The same extends to the globe, though. So if that's made you feel warm and fuzzy, I'm hatefully going to take that away immediately by saying I don't have any ill will towards any of the globers either. I don't actually care. Now, while that not caring doesn't extend to you guys, I actually do care about your opinion, otherwise I wouldn't be here. I don't care anymore about converting zealots and understanding knowing the globe arguments, yeah, it might be great, and I can say how wonderful I am for how fantastic I know these arguments. I don't see them as necessarily useful moving forward. And I want the people who come in new to go away from the subject, having visited it for the first time, going, all right, Earth's measured flat then. Not, oh, I'm not open-minded enough. Oh, I need to learn all about how heliocentrism don't work. Or, oh, those sorts of attitudes I don't want the newbies to walk away from. Now, they might not walk away with wonderful appreciations of how to undo globe arguments in debate, but they will walk away with an opener to the subject, knowing it's flat. That's where we've got to change our attitudes to make sure that the people who do come by us, small in numbers because we're so suppressed, get to know it's measured flat first and foremost. Know it's flat. But I've pissed off enough people to have to go and do a lot of apologising, SC Montreal, so you're the first. Bev will get one too. I've been pretty harsh to him.
No worries, bro. Accepted, and I apologize too. I mean, I was kind of rough too on that day, but look, shit happens. Like me, I don't hold things personal unless it's a personal matter, right? I don't hold beefs, so you know.
Me neither.
Apology accepted.
Good, same here. No,
See, I came here first. I told you guys SC was cool, and see, he's cool.
Sure, but this, as much as we have interpersonal relationships that might need mention,
You can believe that.
It doesn't change the fact that that isn't the motivation. Now, that might be part of the journey that I have to now backtrack along and mend a few bridges I've bent. I shouldn't smirk about this. That's terrible. I should take it more seriously. Yes, that's my own demon wanting to get back into the closet, if you will, when I smirk about these things. Right, I'm going to readjust my attitude immediately. You can probably hear me stuttering and stammering over my words, because I'm having to face the horrible behaviour that I've left in my wake, haven't I? Okay, but it's easier to do it when you know there's a greater motivation. The greater motivation to move forward with Flat Earth, in the most literal sense. It hasn't been the case for 10 years. Nobody's moved forward with Flat Earth. Many people could do the same subject matter and call themselves globe deniers. And they'd be the same exact person as the person calling themselves a flat earther who wasn't proving Earth was flat at every opportunity.
Suddenly, I feel like singing Kumbaya. I don't know why.
Because we've got something beyond the personal to focus us. Instead of the personal differences between us, in the case of our argument with just an angle, that's a personal difference that we've argued about between you and I. Like I say, we can move through to the next day and go, oh, so what? No beef. Who cares? But as a motivational subject matter to move forward with, it's hard to phrase this because it seems like the general, when I say flat Earth, is a specialist subject that we, as a group, can move forward with where we haven't before. We thought we were. Many of us, like myself, I'm first to confess to it, just believed we were on a flat Earth, and that led me to becoming a bit of a monster because I didn't truly have the confidence to sit back and relax in the assurance that I know I'm right because that's how it's measured. I didn't have that. So in my frustration at losing arguments that needed to be debated about, I would become more and more angry. I don't have that attitude anymore because it's measured flat and I can prove it.
So let's suss one out. Let's suss one out right now. The right old triangle. Let's talk about elevation angles and whatnot.
What about them?
Well, we would say that celestial navigation uses right angles. However, say again.
It would just figure out which black guy.
Oh, yeah, it's Eli. But I guess some would object to that. Now I can try to put up their objection, but if anyone would object, you guys can make your own case.
Say that all again.
I feel that there are those that would object to certain verbiage, like using right angles in celestial navigation.
Right angles or right angle triangles?
Right angle triangles specifically.
Right. Well, what you're doing is you're measuring a right angle to your zenith, right? And then you're measuring an angle to the zenith position of the ground position of a star, right? But that's only an apparent location. It's dependent upon the observer's placement on the Earth. So if you went to that position, the star is not going to be there. You're only measuring that angle. But from that apparent position, there is an actual location that's directly below the ground, and that is your right angle triangle. You will form your circle of equal altitude. So there's a bit of confusion on that.
Well, I have multiple issues with this. One of them is we can't make triangles to the sun, right? Because that doesn't work. Another one is
I missed that. Just
these
one at a
straight
time.
lines.
Sorry, I want to get all these one at a time. We can't get a triangle to what?
The sun. Remember, I was on your show one day and we went over this, making a triangle to the sun. You said we couldn't do it.
Okay, yes
It
and
just
no.
doesn't
Let's
work,
just
right?
deal with that first. Yes, you can make a triangle if you take an elevation angle. Now, an elevation angle is a very special type of measurement. Number one, it proves Earth's flat. Let's just establish that first and foremost. You're measuring a flat baseline, and what John just described, the ground position, GP, is on the ground along that flat baseline. It's the ground. It's in the title ground position. So just so we all know that moving forward, the most important thing here is that we've just proved Earth's measured flat. So we're all clear about the example, so no one asks me for a bloody presentation on it. That was Earth being measured flat when we took the GP position of the star. If we're using the sun, you can do the same thing. You can establish your position based on the sun and get the time of day almanac, mark it when you'd measure the angle. That is a triangle still. That's what an elevation angle is.
Anyway.
So
Yeah,
when you
but
say
my issue.
I'm nearly there. I'm nearly
Go
there.
ahead.
I'm nearly there.
I thought you were done. My bad.
No, nearly. That is a triangle that you're measuring. The elevation angle that you measure to the sun is a triangle. However, that triangle with an elevation angle is not going to give you the height of the sun when you take two different measurements from two different locations, because it will give you two different angles, meaning it's at two different heights. Well, you're not measuring the height with an elevation angle. That's not what it's being used for. Hope that answers your question. If not, feel free to follow up.
Yeah, but it doesn't measure a height. Hold on, Car, you're hot micing. It doesn't measure an angle. The things we know about this triangle that we've made to the sun, right? Because we made a triangle from the sun to the ground to another point on the ground. Right angle, right angles.
No. To you.
What's up?
To you. From you
Hold on,
to the
hold on,
sun,
he wasn't
then down to the ground, then back to you. That's the triangle.
But the
Yeah,
sun
so
is
we got
only an
two
apparent
angles.
location.
Hold on, John.
The
Hold on,
actual
John.
location.
Just 1 second, John. What's your name? Who's talking in Discord?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, sorry. Go ahead.
Jeremy. So you got two angles in a distance. Right?
No, you haven't got anything yet. You've just got an angle. A triangle. You, sun, ground below sun, flat earth that you've just proven. That's the triangle. So far, that's all you've got.
Yeah, and we made another, but the straight line we made to the ground, not the sun, the one we made to the other point on the ground or the arrow wherever that line meets, that has another angle to it, right? Do we know? We don't know that angle. You're saying?
You're measuring that angle. So you're on the ground or on a boat, and the sun is up above you, and you point a sextant at it to get its angle. Well, the angle starts from you. One line goes to the sun. One line goes on the flat earth that you've just proven is being measured flat. And then below the sun meets that line that you ran along the flat earth just proved was measured flat with a right angle below the sun. That's it. That's all you've done so far is measured that angle. And then if you're going to navigate with it, you're going to say to your guy who's got a watch, mark, and he'll write down the time at the moment you measure that angle. That's what you'll do. So you've got a good, they say chronometer, but a watch basically. You're going to note down the time accurately so you can look up the position at that specific time when you measured that specific angle. Make sense?
Yeah. So we only got the one angle and the distance. Okay.
Yeah. One line along the ground, one line to the sun. That's a triangle.
The apparent position.
And we don't
of the
know that
sun,
angle.
not the actual.
Yeah, the apparent position. We're not trying to get the height of it.
I think the contention people actually had was saying the argument like, okay, from this single position, where I'm standing, when I take my elevation angle, the fact that I even can take it from this point proves the Earth is flat. When it's actually the extension of the horizontal baseline that would prove the Earth is flat. not the singular point, right? Because they can take the measurement from a single point, even though it's not technically flat. They use a tangent, quote unquote. And everyone knows that it's nonsense and it's just a concept, but the argument should specify that the actual evidence is the extension of the baseline, right? So that's the only actual contention that I would
Hold on, let me just understand what Wits is saying. Hold on, I just need to clarify what you mean. You're saying when you take the angle and first establish the baseline, it isn't that that's proving the flat Earth when you establish the baseline with, say, the horizon. But when you measure the straight flat baseline out to the GP, that's what you mean by extended baseline? You mean the line that extends to the GP position below the sun in this example? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the actual extension of the baseline.
Both prove it's flat, actually. But yeah, that also proves you've got a much, much, much bigger extent of an area of equal elevation, flat in all directions, that you've measured out with that angle and flat baseline to the GP, which is on the ground, not on a tangent. But ultimately, the establishment of a horizontal plane of reference in the first instance to give you the first line to extend, by your terminology, also proves Earth is being established as a horizontal plane of reference, be it with the horizon or a bubble section.
So I'm saying I don't think it's that strong, right? I mean, like, I don't necessarily disagree with you because a tangent's just a concept, but it's just not the most. It's not the most convincing or strong argument, right? Like the actual strong argument is that a curved Earth is going to be different than a flat Earth, and that difference is going to be shown over distance, right? And of course, there are other parts of this. The horizon rises optically.
I need one point at a time, Witsy. I can't cope with multiple points. You're saying that the better argument is to compare it in false dichotomy with a globe Earth we don't need to claim, so that we can have the argument about how it shouldn't be curved, when it is factually measured flat and I don't need to mention anything about the globe whatsoever.
No, what I'm saying is that you can technically, on a curved surface, measure from a singular point, right? So the fact that you take a measurement from a singular point isn't in itself proof the Earth is flat. It's the fact that where you are, that point extends out.
Stop. No. When you take a measurement from a single point, you're not establishing a horizontal plane of reference. So again, the globe immediately fails, but we have no need to reference the globe and how it fails. I'm not knocking on the door of Scientology telling them why they're wrong when I've walked away from the cult. I don't need to tell people how the globe doesn't work on a curve. You say it doesn't work because a single point won't establish a horizontal plane of reference. It won't. So when you start with the globe argument and how it don't work, it's precisely in contravention of what I'm hoping to move forward with in 2024 with it, which is to say, I don't need to attack why the globe doesn't work when I know it's measured flat. Every part of this example first establishes a horizontal plane of reference for you to describe as extended out to the GP of the star. Both are establishing Earth as a horizontal plane of reference and measuring Earth flat. I don't need to reference the globe at all for why it don't work. Who cares?
Maybe 7 billion people or so. So, like, you can definitely do whatever you want. You guys mentioned that people have contention with it. That's what Eli said. I'm telling you, the actual situation that people have contention with is denying their conceptual application of tangent and not specifying that it's the extension that actually falsifies the globe. If you want to keep doing it, I don't care.
Therefore, you presume to take a devil's advocate globe defending position in this discussion. Fine. If that's the case and you are in said globe position and suggest to me that a single point with a tangent is your explanation to get around this in rebuttal, there are two issues. One, as I've already pointed out, the single point doesn't establish a horizontal plane of reference. Secondly, if you are to infer, by begging the question, that the flat ground you actually measure, flat, gives you a tangent out to a point that the GP isn't going to meet, isn't a defence. Now, while I understand and agree that you would have to have an exemplary understanding of anti-globe celestial navigation to overcome that rebuttal from you in the devil's advocate globe position, I appreciate that you're going to have a cutting-edge understanding to do that. But that doesn't change what I'm trying to put forward in 2024, that if you came here and the first argument you hear is how juxtapositions of globe versus non-positional on a flat plane when establishing a tangent doesn't work, number one, it's confusing, and number two, it doesn't leave the person who's a newbie leaving the discussion going, I know Earth's measured flat from that. telling them Earth's established as a horizontal plane of reference. You establish it with the horizon, so you can draw out a line that's flat with an area of equal elevation, all flat, to a GP on the flat ground. No mention of the sphere was needed. Yeah, it might get a rebuttal from a globe believer that's otherwise. Yeah, but that's not our starting point if we're on the front foot telling the world it's measured flat, because it is. I don't need to mention the globe for that.
Okay. I'm just stating the fact that the actual contention, the actual contention.
Hold on, John. Just let Witsit respond, and then we'll get John. Go ahead, Witsit.
I'm just stating the fact that that's the actual contention. If we want to get specific, even on a flat Earth, the horizon rises optically. So if I take a measurement from a single point and extend the horizontal baseline straight out, the horizon's actually going to be slightly above that, right? In reality.
No, it isn't.
So yes, I understand
That's incorrect.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So like what I'm saying is, and I agree with the argument. I agree with the fact that
with you, or will you carry on indefinitely without an objection?
It's hard to hear when people agree when they're talking through the middle of you, I guess.
I would like to object.
I'm saying,
I would like to object. You said that is the case that the horizon rises. Well, if that was the case, we wouldn't have to account for dip, would we?
What?
Have you ever heard of dip correction?
Yeah.
What's dip correction?
It's the correction from the horizontal. What does that have to do with?
Sorry, from the horizontal to what?
To the actual horizon.
So the horizon would be below the horizontal for us to correct to it, contradicting your point that you were wrong about.
Sometimes.
Excuse me, it's very difficult to talk when someone talks through the middle of you annihilating them, Witsit. Do you mind? So it would be below the horizontal.
You guys see how easy
My bad, it's the second attempt for me to get this annihilation of Witsit's stupid nonsense through. Do you want to interrupt for a third time, Witsit?
All right, go ahead, one at a time.
Go ahead, I will. I'll try to. For a third time, Witsit. We'll try.
Please,
you were wrong. The horizon doesn't do that.
That was me to interrupt.
My bad. I'd just like to get this. I'd just like to get the correction through without my own panel now joining in. Witsit was just wrong, and I'd like to correct it without constant interruption from everybody else in this Discord server. Is it possible for me to correct how wrong Witsit was? He's just affirmed how wrong he was when he described the correction where the horizon is below the horizontal, the eye level that you established.
I didn't say that.
Well, it's a fact, Witsit. That's what you do. That's what dip correction is, making you wrong.
Okay, now here's what's so funny about the situation.
We're moving on.
You interrupted me.
We're moving on.
You interrupted me. Okay,
we're moving on.
So I was talking. You guys see how this whole I've been a bad boy, I'm gonna change was all bullshit.
Yeah, Witsit was wrong. I couldn't give a crap about this non-stop distraction from the fact that he was wrong. Witsit was wrong. He said the horizon rises to eye level. He was wrong. We wouldn't have dip correction if that was the case. I've corrected him. When he described the correction that is known as dip, he described the correction from horizontal where the horizon is below it, making him fundamentally wrong. Simple as.
Okay, the reality...
Hold on.
Holy shit, dude.
Hold on. Yeah, you're going to have to wait with it. And Nathan, please, there's only one person at a time. Do not interrupt. I do not want to meet anybody. Please, one person at a time. Please don't interrupt anybody through their sentence.
No worries. Witsit was wrong.
So the horizon actually rises.
Yeah, it was me that was constantly interrupting, but immediately we're into Witsit interrupting the thing he hasn't listened to 4 times. 4 times he hasn't heard it. 4 times he's interrupted it. 4 times I won't get to say to him. Right, Witsit?
No, actually, I was in the middle of talking and you interrupted me.
Yeah, you were wrong about something.
I have an objection because I don't care what you think. Now
I wasn't thinking. You told me how you corrected the horizon down to the horizontal, down to it. So it's below horizontal.
You did object in the middle of his sentence, and actually you stopped him from speaking 3 times during his sentence a few times. So,
but he objected and was going to move to a secondary point like Nathan did.
You guys are such little cocks.
He's doing it again. Now he's going to add hummus, right? Yeah? Doesn't matter how many times I try and correct him on his incorrect assertion about the horizon rising with you, when there's a correction called dip that we must correct the horizon with. Witsit also detailed that dip correction from the horizontal.
We heard your thing, Oakley. Let Witsit respond, please. We heard your thing. We know. He heard you. Let him respond.
What's my thing?
This is why he has to interrupt, because then he can straw man me, right? This is what he does on his show as well. You're not going to do it here. I fucking promise. So in reality, the horizon rises optically on a flat Earth. So if we take a position and draw a horizontal baseline out, in reality, the horizon will actually be rising above that position. That's what I actually said. But you had to interrupt me for no reason. So I even tried to say I agree with the actual argument in the sense that this real life application using horizontal baselines everywhere to make actual measurements used in real life is not possible on the globe. It shows we measure the earth flat. We use the earth flat. You guys brought up the contention. I said the actual contention people have is that the globers are just going to say tangent, and that is going to be sufficient to most people. You want to say, we don't want to talk about the globe. Okay, cool story. I'm just expediting the conversation. We've heard your show. You've said this for 5 years. We don't need you to monologue about the baseline anymore.
That's not what I've said for 5 years. I've said it for 4 days. I'm saying we shouldn't approach this argument from a false dichotomy position where we tap on the gates of the, by comparison, or Scientology. If you've left Scientology, do you need to go back to the gates and figure out exactly how Scientology doesn't work? No, you don't. But by saying this doesn't work on a globe proactively as a flat earther, you're encouraging that position. That's what's happening. I'm saying there's no need. I'm not disagreeing that you may have a fundamentalist zealot disagree with you and tell you a tangent solves the problem, meaning you would require an exemplary understanding of how your single point on a ball that you've automatically assumed by begging the question, doesn't give you a horizontal plane of reference. Now, when you said that extension after establishing the horizontal plane of reference is what proves a flat earth, no. You can't, as you put it, establish a horizontal plane of reference with the ball, so why are we even talking about it, is my point. If it can't give you what you need to establish Earth as flat, that's established with the horizon that you've got a horizontal plane of reference when you correct for dip, meaning the horizon's above your eyes, because it's the ground level. That's what you're actually correcting to.
That's what I said.
Can I jump in?
Oh, well, let me agree.
Let me jump in real quick. Okay, let me jump in real quick, though. We have theodolite measurements from both sides with the horizon above horizontal, though. How do you do a dip correction for that?
Wait, what? Horizon above the horizontal? What does that mean?
We have theodolite measurements of the horizon above horizontal, yes. How do you correct the dip correction when that's going on?
The horizon being the apparent position where the ground or sea meets the sky? Or are we talking about a topographical horizon?
Water, always water. Multiple theodolite measurements of water above horizontal, yes. On lakes, on oceans.
I don't know. I mean, show me. I don't know. This is the first I've heard this.
Oh,
wait,
yeah,
so the horizon angles up? The horizon angles up from the observer? In respect
Hold on,
to
Rocky
what?
has got one. Hold on, Rocky, are you there?
Too many people talking.
I know, Rocky has got a measure. Rocky has got the measurement. Hold on, if he's here. Can you post it, Rocky, please?
Okay.
The horizon angles up from the observer in respect to what?
From a horizontal, there's multiple.
What's the horizontal you're talking about? Because
the
if
eye level,
horizon-
bro. Are you serious?
Eye level in respect to what, though?
But how is that established?
To the observer.
Hold on. Who's just one at a time? Who's making the claim? Just who's making the claim, so we can talk to one person about their claim. Who is it that said that they've got horizons above the horizontal?
Jeremy.
Who is it that said that?
My name's Jeremy. I don't have the pictures right now, but we have multiple pictures from George Hanichuk, Jesse Gordon, Kozlowski, and I believe Rocky did it himself. I'm not sure, but Rocky has one or two of the images of a theodolite measurements of the horizon above horizontal.
Perfect. And the historical data that went along with it, do we have the how horizontal was established from the historical data that they provide?
Sorry, what?
Do we have the historical data for how they establish horizontal?
From a plumb line, I'm guessing.
Are they showing
theodolite.
that? Are they showing that in the historical data? Is that shown? If their claim is this deviates from the horizontal, we're going to need to know how horizontal was established by them, won't we?
Yeah, I'll try to scrounge it up for you next time. Like I said, I don't have them on hand, but it's been done so many times by the Globers and by our own. Like, that's tough for a Globe. It took a long time to squeeze that out of the Globers, honestly, because that's not something they really want to admit, is that the horizon can sometimes be above eye level because of some kind of optical effect that's happening, obviously. I mean,
Sure. Well,
but it's
the horizon-
anomalous.
The horizon moves. That's the bottom line. I mean, this doesn't necessarily concern me too much because we can demonstrate that the horizon moves all over the place. So it's not
Right, but that's kind of
shocking.
our point. Like you said, extend it out to the horizon. It's like, well, the horizon itself, if you depend it simply upon like optically looking at the horizon, it constantly moves all over the place. But the real life application of the mathematical extension, it actually working, yes, that only works on a flat Earth. It's distinctly different from a curved surface. So, in my opinion, saying like out to the horizon, well, the horizon moves, right? So it's not like you just go out there and look at the horizon and then you know the Earth's flat because of your baseline. That the horizon's not going to meet your baseline.
Okay. Can I just put something to you? Do you know what? I think it's called volcanology. You ever heard of volcanology? What is it?
No.
Like study of volcanoes.
Makes sense.
Okay. Well, let's say for the sake of argument, right, there's a few misconceptions about how volcanoes work. And I start detailing to you in really clear detail something that proves my example for how volcanoes do actually work. And then at the end of my statement, I say, and that definitely proves that there aren't any thetans in there. Would you say that that's necessary?
No.
So why tell me why have you just strapped on the end of your statement that how that doesn't work on a globe, knocking on the door of Scientology again?
Okay, you don't have to say it that way, my brother. Do what you want to do.
Right, that's what I'm trying to get
I'm pointing out that you brought up the horizon. I don't think that it has to be more specific than that. The horizon is just an optical location. It moves around. You don't just take your measurement to the horizon. The horizon
do we
moves.
not? What's the horizon practically used for then?
You can use it, but it's not going to be directly horizontal from your position because it's optical.
Precisely
and
what it
moves.
is. That's exactly what it is. What are you talking about? That's what it is.
The horizon moves, bro.
So what do we
It
use
goes
it
up and
for?
down.
Just give me, rather than these assertions, I've asked you twice. What's the practical application for the horizon? Can you give me one? Do you know?
I don't think you can use it as a physical location because it's optical.
So when we point a sextant at it, we're not establishing a horizontal plane of reference to extend out to a GP. You don't realise that's the practical application for this horizontal tool we use. You don't realise that, even though you've made it yourself as an example. You don't think it's useful for proving Earth's measured flat, even though you've already used it and extended that baseline to make a bigger area flat. You don't think it's useful as a tool in practical application when it absolutely is practically applied. You point a sextant at it and establish a horizontal plane of reference with dip correction. It is a practically used tool. It is unequivocally horizontal, but yet you seem to want to disagree with that, Witsit. That's very, very objectionable. Seems very, very shilly. It's almost like you're shilling for a globe while you interrupt me. It's like you desperately want to introduce the Scientology subject back to the people who've left Scientology, and then disagree with fundamental aspects of tools like the horizon with constant interruption that is absolutely practically applied to establish Earth as a measured, flat reference plane. That's what it's practically applied with, Witsit. Again, for the second time. It's like you don't understand. When I ask you, I haven't finished.
Your monologue.
I haven't finished.
Your monologue.
That's why I haven't finished. Don't tell me I'm monologuing, prick.
Is this a leadership battle?
I haven't finished.
No. Oakley just thinks he runs.
Yeah, here we go. Ad homs. Yeah, Witsit's wrong for the second time. He's telling me that we can't use the horizon with a practical application. I asked him directly, what's the practical application for the horizon? I don't know if it has one, was the answer. He's just wrong for the second time. Now it's constant ad homs and constant chanting through me while I try and iterate my point, and here it is again, another interruption. No, you're just wrong for the second time, Witsit.
Okay, so I know that you're used to being in your little echo chamber where you get to...
More ad homs. Witsit was wrong. Horizontal plane of reference established with the horizon. It is most definitely used with the tool known as a sextant to establish Earth as a measured, flat plane. And now we're into a string of ad homs from Witsit. Non-stop ad homs won't get around the fact you're wrong. Doesn't matter what you do to interrupt me. I will just get my point across.
Oakley, we already heard you. He's wrong. We know your point. Practical application. Let him go. Please, just stick to the point, Witsit, please.
Okay, well, I'm saying what's happening is you're making a point, then pausing, and then someone's going in to say something, then you start again and claim they're interrupting.
So again, Witsit's on to the discussion type and how the conversation's going to progress, rather than admissions that he's wrong when you establish the horizontal plane of reference, Earth being measured flat by use of the horizon, which he didn't know when asked how it was practically applied. Now it's on to ad homs about how I'm talking to him. Again.
Okay, so I do know how it's applied, right? But the point I'm making, which is just so incredibly obvious, is if I extend a horizontal baseline out to the horizon with the sextant, and then I go back the next day, the horizon's not going to be in the same place. In fact, if I sit there with my sextant over the course of the day, the horizon's going to go up and down. Okay, because it's optical. Is this a fact? Yes or no?
Still establish a horizontal plane of reference regardless of where it is. Closer or further away when you zoom into it makes no difference in terms of how you establish Earth with that tool. You're not extending a plane to the horizon as you just described. What are you babbling about, man? You measure with the horizon. It's being utilised to establish a flat baseline. You're not extending a plane of reference to it as you just described. You're just making this shit up.
Okay, you didn't answer the question. So we all know that it does move around. But like I already said, like I think it is a good argument overall, right? But you know what, dude? It's kind of pathetic because I'm saying, yes, I think it's a good argument. I'm telling you why people have a contention with it, right? It's just that some people run around saying, oh, we can't even take an elevation angle. It goes to a horizontal. So the fact that you're on the Earth taking one at all, as if you were on another type of surface that was curved, you couldn't look up and take angle measurements. It's kind of ridiculous. You absolutely could. Now, the accuracy of them applied over long distances would be the problem. So if you don't take the critique, that's fine. I don't care.
Please, G+. Like, you just stated that if you weren't on a horizontal surface, it would be absurd to assert that you couldn't take angles from something that isn't a plane of reference. So would you like to explain to me how a curved surface, that's one that's not a horizontal plane of reference, that's Earth being measured and established as flat by utilization of the tool that is the horizon in this instance, how can you get an angle from something that isn't a straight line?
You could treat the singular point as a straight line, and then you would lose.
Sorry, a single point isn't a straight line. That's stupid. Stop.
I agree.
Stop.
I agree. Dude.
Don't interrupt me while I disagree with your stupid statement that a single point is a straight line. A single point isn't a straight line. You've already tried to incorporate your globe shillery into this discussion once, Whitsit. A single point is not a straight line. A single point on a globe, you assume, when I've already told you to stop knocking on the door of Scientology, isn't a straight line. And now it's constant rumpusing and non-stop interruption to the objection that a single point is not a straight line.
I'm sorry. I have Nathan. You keep constantly saying that he's interrupting you, but you just interrupted him at this point. Please let him finish, and then you can.
Yeah, when he said a single point is a straight line, I'm going to object.
I understand you can't.
So what are you objecting to me? Saying that it's wrong to stop him when he says a single point's a straight line, that's wrong.
Yes, you got it.
I should let him continue. Excuse me, I just want to talk to the bookfin. Excuse me, I'd just like to confirm this with the bookfin. When someone says a single point's a straight line, I should just let him say that's true, should I?
You have to let him finish, and then you can rebut it.
I have to. I have to tolerate his assertion, wrong though it is, that a single point's a straight line, and let him carry on. No.
Yes, because
no. No.
Because
go ahead, Whitsit.
No.
Hold on. I temp muted you, Oakley. I'll unmute you when Wits is done. You're constantly interrupting. Just let him finish, and you next.
Leave this fucking place.
This is why the interruptions are so bad, because now it's I didn't get to present my point, which is actually that, of course, that's not true. So now he gets to act like I'm making the positive claim that a point is a line. I literally just went viral on X, destroying a glober saying that. Okay, I obviously don't believe that. My point is
pretty cringe. You don't need to mention that.
No, my point is that I just made the whole argument he's claiming I'm making the argument against. Try to keep up. Okay, so I obviously don't think that. So his little monologue about how I claim a point is a line is a lie. That's why he has to be able to interrupt, to lie, and strawman me. What I'm actually saying is most people would say it's kind of asinine to claim that if the Earth was curving, you couldn't make any measurements at all. That's retarded. You absolutely could. They just wouldn't be accurate. And when you apply them over long distances and at different locations, you wouldn't have any accuracy. The actual argument is the long distance application, not that you couldn't take a sextant out if the Earth was a ball, because that makes us look retarded. That's the actual contention.
For fuck's sake, Neil.
Hey, fuck you, Owen. He's monologuing too.
Neil, shut up. Neil, shut up. Neil, shut up. Neil, shut up, or I will eject you. Finally, he left because I can stop the constant interruptions. Yeah.
Go ahead, Nathan.
The rebuttal I received was from Witsit when he told me that they could argue for a single point as a line. Not true. And when it was asinine to bring up that point in contention, which Witsit did, I'm being told that I'm strawmanning him with his own point he raised. I objected to the fact that Witsit is juxtaposing how it doesn't work on a globe and then explaining the justification is that you can get an angle from a non-flat surface when you take a single point. And when I object, that's not my argument, it's the globe argument. And then someone on this panel pointed out how asinine that was to Witsit while I was on mute. Yeah, that's why I objected. It is asinine and isn't a reason to incorporate a globe argument that we're trying to walk away from. And I'm trying to point out to everybody here that Witsit's approach of incorporating an asinine claim that a line will give you, a single point will give you a line, which is what they rebut you with, is absolutely asinine and unnecessary when it is factually just measured flat with a tool called the horizon, which is utilised to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Furthermore, when I asked Witsit what the horizon would be utilised for, he answered he did not know, and is now telling me how he goes around with this argument and I'm strawmanning him with the very claim he brought up that I objected to him using. So, yeah, I object to you constantly bringing up the globe juxtaposition, Witsit. There's no need to keep rapping on that door of Scientology with your juxtaposition of how it don't work on a globe. When it's factually measured flat, the tool that's being used to establish the plane is the horizon. You describe how that won't be good enough. Yes, it will. It's a fact. It did establish a horizontal plane of reference. Then we've got another rebuttal from Witsit. Well, the horizon moves. Yeah, that's true. Does it mean it won't be used to establish a horizontal plane of reference with a sextant every single time a sextant's used? No, it still absolutely is usable and is used to establish Earth as a horizontal plane of reference. That's what the horizon's used for. Even when it moves, it's still horizontal. It's still the point where the ground, the surface level, meets the sky. And it can still be used with a dip correction to establish that fact that Earth is measured flat. Witsit objected to that, saying it was only the extension beyond the establishment of Earth as a horizontal plane of reference with the horizon he didn't know how he would utilise. He objected to that. He didn't know what it was utilised for, but he objected.
Okay, so actually, I obviously know how it's utilized. Everything you're saying is a straw man. I never made the argument myself that a point is a line. That's ridiculous. I never claimed I didn't know how the horizon was used. I never claimed that it wasn't a horizontal reference. I never said that because it's optical and it moves, it can't be used as a horizontal reference. All of those are objectively a straw man. And in order for you to be able to claim I said them, you have to interrupt me and then monologue about what I allegedly am saying. That's why you can't leave your room.
Yawn.
Now, in reality,
I have left my room.
I know all of those are. I know all of those points. I know that's why you're freaking out. I know all of those points, right?
Okay, excellent.
And I don't disagree with them. My point. Someone asked what the contention was, and I'm trying to tell you it would require good faith, something that you're completely absent of, right? Which is some people say that it's not particularly satisfactory to someone looking into this to say, oh, well, it would be impossible to make any type of measurement to the sky whatsoever unless the Earth was flat. Because they will say, what? No, imagine it wasn't flat. I could still go out there with my sextant and try to measure different angles. Sure, if I use the horizon, it's going to move around. It's not going to be very accurate.
I know, guys, we will get told off for objecting. Can you be quiet? We're going to get told off for objecting. Guys, it's this. Yes, it is the same exact objection that I've just overcome. He has just rinsed and repeated the same claim. So once he's finished, hopefully I won't get muted in the server. I'll just repeat the same exact rebuttal. Hopefully he'll listen this time. We'll see. Go ahead, Witsit.
Bruss has said it's a straw man, and I'm talking about what other people say. Imagine saying that. It's so funny.
Okay, so, excellent.
No, I'm obviously not straw manning you. I'm talking about you guys asked what some people have a contention with it. I'm telling you what people actually have a contention with is just to end the conversation by saying the fact that you can take a measurement whatsoever from the Earth means it has to be flat. Okay? That is ridiculous. because technically you could go out there and attempt to do it, even if it wasn't flat. Now, would it actually work when applied in real life? That's the argument. And the answer would be no. So when you don't say it that way, you sound retarded.
Okay, thank you. You done?
He's done.
Perfect. So we can
Clearly.
establish some facts that are true then. So we will establish as true from this point forth, Witsit, that Earth is measured flat when we establish it as flat, utilising the horizon to establish Earth as flat when we measure it. You understand and appreciate that first and foremost.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. So when asked in future what we will utilise the horizon for, you'll reply that we measure Earth flat with it.
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. Not just the extension beyond that establishment of Earth as flat. That's good. Progress.
No, it's not that it's progress. I've known the argument the whole time. You guys came in here acting like you wanted the contention. I told you what it actually is. Okay?
Your
so you can take it or leave it.
Okay.
The real contention with you
I heard
guys
it. I'm gonna.
and your approach
I heard it 4 times.
is that you
I heard
shut
it.
down future
Please, I beg of
developments.
you. I beg of you. I heard your contention 4 times. Your contention is that globers would assert that there's a tangent to be established with a single point. That isn't a line, and it won't give you a GP. There's the rebuttal. Fine.
No, even the flat
there's
earthers
more.
contention.
There's more.
I'm talking about
There's more. My contention is for us proactively to be illustrating that. Now, given that there aren't any globers here, in my humble opinion, this should have never come up. You were the one to raise it about how it doesn't work on a globe. And I'm saying that isn't necessary anymore. In 2024, my exemplary knowledge of our globe not working isn't needed. I don't need to know how Xenu isn't working to leave Scientology. I don't need it. I appreciate your contentious point is that people will still put that back to me, requiring me to understand how to overcome their objection when they put a globe claim to me. Yeah, I will, because they too will establish a horizontal plane of reference to get angles when they claim a globe, as opposed to a tangent that they won't measure a GP from. They won't do that. They will also establish a horizontal plane of reference, because it doesn't matter if you're a globe believer or someone that appreciates you measuring Earth flat when you establish that Earth as flat with the horizon. Both hold sextants. So both know Earth's established as flat, a plane of reference, when they point their sextant at the horizon, be them a globe believer or not. So it seems surplus to requirements to juxtapose the two arguments anymore.
Let's go through this. Oh, go ahead. What's it?
Yeah, you notice how we give you plenty of space, bro. That's the point here. Like, give people space. I understand your point. It's an interesting point, but this would be the counter to your new approach in 2024. It would be, well, everyone was told a specific thing from the time they were 5 years old, right? Actually, even younger than that. So everyone thinks the Earth is a specific thing, and that's a tilted, wobbling, spinning globe, okay? So that's what everyone thinks the Earth is. So we're trying to show them that's not what the Earth is, right? So in order to detach from a belief, you have to actually understand the belief first. These people don't actually even understand their belief.
Neil,
So
if you interrupt him one more time,
you.
I'm going to remove you, Neil. That's your last warning.
I'm just saying there is an argument to be had that these people believe something but don't understand it, and that the first step would be making sure they even understand what they think they believe, right? Before you can show them that it's incorrect. You may disagree, and that's fine. Everyone has their own approach, man.
Okay. So my analogy with Scientology completely flown under the radar. Fine. I'll just reiterate it again. So I am a Scientologist learning about Xenu and learning about thetans in volcanoes. Okay. Someone comes along and points out how it's wrong, but also suggests that the way out of this cult is to familiarize myself more with the Scientology belief, because that is precisely what you have just suggested, Witsit.
Well, no, to make the analogy, last thing, Jeremy, just to make the analogy applicable, everyone in the world would have to have the default position that Scientology is true. And then you're going to find out it's not true. I agree you don't have to learn more about Scientology to know it's not true. That's correct. But when you go into the world and your loved ones and your family and your friends and everyone you talk to thinks Scientology is true, and they're like, I can't believe you don't believe in Scientology, and then they find out you don't even understand the basics of it, they're going to be like, of course you can't. Of course you don't know Scientology is true. You don't even know what it is. So it's going to drastically hurt their ability to show other people the truth, okay?
I see.
So you can, some of us want to actually wake people up. Some of us think it's like a game or whatever. To each their own, man.
I see. So your
Let's
comparison...
walk through this sextant thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Oakley. Go ahead.
No. If you feel free, we go ahead.
Well, I'd like to walk through this sextant thing. There's a guy on a globe. There's a guy on flat Earth. They both got sextants in their hands. They're in the middle of the ocean. Right? Step one. That'd be step one, right?
Yeah.
What do both of the guys do next?
Establish a horizontal plane of reference with the horizon if it's a Mariner sextant, or establish a horizontal plane of reference if it's a bubble sextant with the bubble. Establish that Earth is flat and reference that flat plane. That's the starting point for both globe believers and flat earthers. Both of them have to do that.
Hold on, they're looking out through a sextant. They're looking out through a sextant. They're looking at the horizon. They're both looking at the horizon. Right?
Yes.
Okay, they're both looking at the horizon. So there's a horizon on flat Earth. There's a horizon on the globe. So nothing's different so far.
Yeah,
right?
no.
Same thing.
No. There is something different because you've just said
What's
there's a
different?
horizon on a globe. No, you see, the horizon on a globe is below surface level and won't establish a horizontal plane of reference. So no, if you believe that you're a globe and pointing your sextant at a globe horizon, that won't establish a horizontal plane of reference. Both parties have to establish Earth as flat first, and to assert that you're looking at a globe horizon won't give you that.
Okay, so what's happening? I'm just trying to figure out what's happening different on this step of the process between the flat and the globe. They both have a sextant. They're both looking at the horizon. What's the difference in them?
Nothing. This is why moving forward into 2024, we need to have the dogged assurance of this fact. Both, I'll say it again for a third time, both establish a horizontal plane of reference to use that tool. Both will be measuring an angle, won't they?
Okay, so they make a horizontal, so they're not looking at the horizon because the horizon's not horizontal. That's why the dip correction.
No.
You told me they were looking at.
No, they'll both be looking at the horizon. Who's playing a guitar?
On, somebody's got some wild background noise.
Somebody's playing a guitar.
Let me sort it out.
Who's doing that?
I don't know. We're gonna figure it out together.
Yeah, but remove me, right?
Neil, you are constantly giving your colour commentary through the top of Witsit while they're muting me in the server because of you. Okay?
Okay,
so do you want to keep doing
Oakley,
that?
Oakley, there's two guys. One's on a globe. One's on flat Earth.
Got that.
Are they sighting the horizon or are they making a horizontal?
They're sighting the horizon to establish horizontal.
But the horizon is not horizontal, though. That's why the dip correction.
Yes,
when you look out horizontal, the horizon.
Yes, it is horizontal.
Why are they making a dip correction?
Because it represents the point of the ground, which is below you. You don't have to do dip correction if you're in the sea and your eyes are at the surface level. You're correcting to the surface level. The horizon represents where the surface appears to meet the sky in the distance. Well, if the surface is below you, you've got to correct for the fact that that flat surface that you're establishing with the horizon is at surface level. But what you're looking at in the form of the horizon is the ground level that's below you disappearing into the distance. Well, you've got to correct for the fact that you're not on the surface
hold on a second.
if you're above the surface. Sorry, it's just the end of the answer to your question. My bad.
No, go ahead. Finish it up.
I did.
I want to go next.
I was in the middle of answering you. You're correcting to the surface level. You're above it if you're looking at the horizon on the deck of a ship. So dip correction puts your eyes back on the surface level. Why are you doing that? To establish a horizontal level plane of reference with the horizon that you are slightly above when you make a dip correction.
Okay, so this sextant has crosshairs on it?
Your point to this stage is, are globers and flat earthers doing anything different? That's your question, right?
Yeah, no. Is there crosshairs on the sextant? That's the question.
To look through at the sextant and see where the horizon is. Yeah, why?
Okay, so there's crosshair. Now, when we look out, we're aiming the crosshair flat with the horizon, right? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not always horizontal. It may be sometimes, but like you said, the horizon's moving.
Wait
so
a minute. Is that
not
what's
always
happening?
horizontal.
You have a horizon mirror, and you're looking at the horizon, and you're bringing whatever you're sighting down to the
But he's
horizon.
not at that stage yet, Eli. He's still at the stage where he's saying the horizon
Jeremy.
is not horizontal like Witsit did.
Yeah, Jeremy, how is the horizon not horizontal?
It is. He's just wrong.
No, the horizon's horizontal. The horizon is horizontal, but when you're looking at the horizon, if you make a horizontal out, it's going to be below you. So when he's got the crosshairs on the horizon, he's not looking horizontal, right? He can't be.
Okay, yeah, you've got to do dip correction because you're above it. Yeah, we've covered this twice. Yes, dip correction.
Yes.
The dip
correction
is bringing you to the
That's not because the horizon isn't horizontal. That's not because it isn't horizontal. It's because you're above.
No, the point is you don't need it. You make a horizontal with the tool that makes a horizontal, not the horizon. The horizon can be above the horizontal or below it.
But that's what you're pointing.
That's the whole point.
Sorry, Rakia, that's what
You
you're
don't
pointing.
have to point this.
That
yeah, but
is
if you use a bubble section, you don't care. Like
Right.
that's what I'm saying. You don't
Who's
need the
making
horizon.
that
That's one way of
god-awful
doing it.
noise? What's that noise?
Rocky,
Yeah, everyone.
Okay,
All right,
can
moderation.
everybody
Everyone,
accept...
look.
Sorry, guys,
Don't
I can only
interrupt,
talk to
don't
one
interrupt.
person at a
I'm
time.
trying to
Can I-
moderate. I'm trying to moderate. Oakley's tried to talk like 3 times and people have jumped on him. So when he's going to respond, treat him like a guest and let him finish. And obviously, real fast, what's happening is you guys are talking past each other, talking about horizontal left to right, and then they're talking about extending horizontal straight out, right, and it going up
That's
or down
correct.
below that. They're 2 different things.
Good summary, Witsit. But Rakia is
Okay,
saying...
so we're
Hold on. Based on what you said, Witsit, he's saying, no, you're not using the horizon to establish horizontal because it moves, right, Rakia?
Yeah, it would be
No.
above the crosshair and below. Yeah.
No, you still utilize the
That's
horizon.
the point I think, so.
Okay, so either you're saying that sextants don't work to establish a horizontal to measure the angle. Is that what you're suggesting then, Rakia?
No, I'm not suggesting anything. I know when you use it on a boat because the boat is moving, the best thing to use is the horizon, and that gives you close enough. But when you're not on something that's moving like a boat in the waves, you don't use the horizon to create a horizontal because sometimes it can trick you and be below further than it actually should be or above it even under certain conditions. So you would use more of a bubble sextant or a tool that creates a horizontal.
What? Are you joking?
Stop a second.
That's exactly what you don't do. To use a bubble sextant, you need to be perfectly still. Oh, on an ocean,
That's what
you
I
say?
said.
That's what he said.
No, I said when you.
Can everyone stop?
Yeah, I
Yes,
just
that's what he
said.
said. Yeah, we got you, Rakia, and I agree. Yeah, okay. What you're saying is...
Yeah, that's why you use the horizon on a boat is because you
You're
are
still
moving.
talking
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we agree. Sorry.
Thank you, Arwin. Yes, so we agree, Rakia.
Real fast. You're still talking past each other. He's talking about left to right. It's a horizontal reference, and everyone keeps bringing up it going up and down. They're different things.
You're saying Jeremy is referencing left to right?
No. Oakley's talking about the horizontal reference left to right, and then you and Jeremy are talking about it going up and down below that point that comes out from the observer. They're 2 different things.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm at work, so I'm hearing bits and pieces, but fair enough.
In either
Okay,
event,
so you're saying that. Hold on, real quick, Oakley. You're saying that when the guy on the globe and the flat Earth guy, when they look out at the horizon, the glober's horizon is not going to be horizontal.
No, they're both the same horizon, and they both use the horizon for the same purpose. Now, Rakia's point is it's not as accurate as if you establish it with a bit of molasses and you halve the tool's capabilities, or you use a bubble. You might get a better accurate horizontal plane of reference. Yeah, okay, I'll agree with that. Yeah, it's not an ideal tool if you're rocking back and forth on a boat. No, I'll agree with that too. But it's still being used for the same purpose, to establish horizontal, to get a line for an angle to the star that you're measuring. So the tool's measuring an angle, and the first line is a baseline, and you're using the horizon for both globers and flat earthers to establish that line to get that angle. You are establishing a horizontal plane of reference when you point it at the horizon if you're a glober or a flat earther. My point being that moving forward into 2024, we have no requirement to point out that the globe is doing anything with this unless a positive assertion comes from an opponent. But furthermore, we are using this tool to measure Earth as flat. That's how it must be measured when you point the tool at the horizon to get an angle from it. You're measuring Earth flat. So's a glober when they point a sextant to get an angle that's a straight line with respect to the horizon, corrected, inaccurate, because you're on a wave that's going up and that, or otherwise, you're still achieving the same ends regardless of who's holding that tool. You can't even pick up a sextant if you're a glober because you can't establish a horizontal plane of reference with it. That's why when you first said, well, what's the difference if I'm looking at a globe horizon or I'm looking at a flat Earth horizon? Both are looking at a flat Earth horizon because both are establishing a flat baseline to establish a flat line for an angle to the star. Both need it to be flat. That's the point. They need a flat Earth as much as we do because they're measuring an angle off a flat baseline and establishing a horizontal plane when they look at the horizon, just like we are. We don't need to point that out like Witsit did. We just need to say Earth's measured flat because it is.
Right, that's why they need to show that globe with the flat plane on the inside every time they demonstrate how celestial navigation works on the globe. They're counting on you not picking up on that it's on the inside of a globe, and that doesn't make any sense.
The horizontal line, though, is the line you make to the horizon, right? That doesn't have anything to do with the land under it.
You're using the land to establish it. You're not measuring you're establishing the horizon as your horizontal. But when we point that out, you're like, that's not the ground. Is it not? That's what you're navigating and establishing the angle on, and you're going to be navigating, utilizing ground positions, but it's not the ground. Yes, it is.
Hold on, I didn't make that argument. That was
You just said it's not the ground.
Argument.
You said when you establish the horizontal with the horizon, it's not the ground. That's what you just said. Yes,
no,
it is.
From you to the. Okay, well, I misspoke. From you to the horizon, I'm talking about.
That's the ground.
Said the horizons.
Yes, the ground.
You said the horizon's the same. I understand. You said the horizon is the same for the glober. I'm trying to figure out where the difference is. What's the difference between the guy on the globe and the guy on the flat Earth?
The difference is that they need to establish a horizontal plane of reference when they point the sextant at the horizon. But for their globe belief, it isn't. So straight off the bat,
how are they establishing the horizontal plane of reference? How are they establishing the horizontal plane of reference? What's different between the glober doing it and the flat earther doing it?
Both establish it flat.
The globe doesn't have one.
He just answered that. He said there's no difference. It's just like saying plane survey. What they do is they measure the Earth like it's flat, neglect any notion of curvature, then just claim the Earth's a ball anyway. They have to treat the Earth like it's flat, right? And then just they pretend it's a globe anyway.
Almost. Let me just agree with Witsit. Finally, we're on the same track. Great. Not treat it as flat, measure it flat, Witsit. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Not treat it as flat and then pretend it's a globe. You measure it flat. Both us and the globe do. This is why this guy, I'm more than content to go around in the circle forever with this guy, because he's like, I don't get it. Where's the difference? Well, they don't have a horizon that will establish Earth as flat, but they still have to establish Earth as flat to measure an angle from it. So both have a flat plane requirement. They're immediately failing because their horizon isn't the horizon that gives them a flat plane.
Yeah, exactly. Like to measure from, the horizontal reference point is horizontal, right? And they have to actually measure a flat Earth and then claim it's a globe. Perfect. And this is where, of course, they'll just say it's real big or whatever. But
perfect. It's a subtle change that you've undergone, and suddenly I'm not annoyed at you, Witsit. Absolutely spot on, Witsit. Yes.
The testosterone and adrenaline is through the roof. Yeah,
because the stakes are high.
You guys are doing
the stakes are high. The stakes are very high because I want a fundamental change in the attitude of the people who I see as my peers. I'm not going to beat around the bush. A lot of you piss me off a lot of the time, and I'm not going to lie about that. Maybe apologies that I have to make to people who I've made that clear to when I've got angry with them, like Witsit. Second person I'm going to have to apologise to you today for my disdain. But it's because the stakes about the subject are high rather than the personal difference that we may have about ether. That's not what we're going to be discussing when I get allegiance like I've just got from Witsit. Finally, some agreement. Yeah, both parties have to measure Earth as flat. establish Earth as flat to do any of the functionality that they're then going to claim proves a globe. Immediately, they need a flat Earth straight away. That's our starting point, or should be going forward. Thank you, Witsit. Really cheered me up.
It's very similar to plane surveying, where like when they invoke geodetic surveying, they actually have to use flat Earth measurements as their foundation, right? And then they stitch them together and claim it's a globe.
Goosebumps. Got goosebumps from you saying it like that. Yeah. Bon. Absolutely. They've got to first measure Earth flat. That's right, Witsit. Yeah. Now you're singing my hymn from my hymn sheet. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, like what I'm trying to say earlier, I wasn't actually trying to argue against the argument. I was trying to explain to you what some people have a contention with. Like, I don't even necessarily agree with it, right? I just think that the point has to be delivered, completely.
No, my bad. I was slow.
But I agree with the point.
I got that eventually. I'm just slow. Eventually, I realised that you're postulating the devil's advocate position, and I did put that to you eventually once I understood.
There's hope for you, Witsit.
Witsit's ace. Witsit 20. He's been added 10 IQ points.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with. I think this is like the strongest point. So I actually agree this is one of the first things that should be said, because with engineering, so bridges, runways, everything, we measure the Earth flat, we build things like the Earth is flat, and they just come along on the tail end and claim it's a globe, hijacking the flat Earth measurement.
I agree with you. This is basically your idea, Witsit.
Exactly. By the way, I had this conversation yesterday where Glober has brought forward the London Underground, which is, by his claims, proving Earth's curvature, right? But what would you think is actually the outcome if you go into the surveying that has been done for the London Underground? What do they actually put into the note? What is very important to point out is, quote unquote, one second, they say, basically, here it is. The London survey grid is a transverse Mercator projection with parameters chosen to minimize grid distortion caused by Earth's curvature over the London Underground area. The distortion is such that the large portions of the area projection corrections can be ignored. The grid was formerly known as the London Underground grid, or the Crossrail grid. So they basically tell you, yeah, we have curvature, but it's so slightly all the time that we can actually just ignore the curvature. So they just build it as if there is no curvature, but actually they have curvature. See, that's how it works.
So it's curved, but not really curved. You can't find the curve, you can't measure the curve. So just ignore that there's a curve, but just believe that it's a curve.
But
that's what I just heard just now.
But the actual railway, I actually looked into this. One of the first things I looked into actually getting to this subject, how they actually survey it wasn't for the underground, it was for the general UK rail network. And it's all with respect to sea level. They're trying to keep the elevation as close to sea level as possible. In other words, they don't want any deviations or elevation changes. So they're blasting out the sides of mountains and creating great big valleys to put the rail network through so they can not have any massive inclines or drops as it moves around. And they have a certain amount that they can have it incline as it goes up and down the country, but it's very minimal. And they have to obviously account for all of that. And where there's massive changes in elevation because of a mountain, they have to blast their way through it to keep it very, very close to the reference with respect to sea level. That's level. So the whole network's level.
They have limits they have to keep in mind, and they can't go above that degree, rise over run. So when they get to a mountain peak, they can't go around and they can't go at a different angle because it's above their parameters. They dig a tunnel, go through.
Exactly.
And call me a liar, but the most projects I've looked into, big projects, right? The most I've looked into, what it always basically comes down to when you read between the lines is we claim there's curvature, but it's just so minimal that we're just going to ignore it and build it as if there is none. Okay, this is what all the projects I've looked into, it always comes down to. Yeah, there is curvature, but actually it's, so unimportant that we're just gonna treat it as if it's flat.
Same people that fought us on pilots for years and years and years. Now we have actual Glover pilots in here for all those years. One of them just got their license, and who said the entire time while training and going through school, they didn't talk about Earth curve or Coriolis. They trained as it was flat and stationary. Shout out to Left Line.
The official manuals say that you just treat the Earth as if it's flat for up to 100 square miles. Of course, in reality, everything that goes beyond that, they're just piecing together smaller portions underneath, 100 square miles anyway. So, I mean, it's just like, that's like the mainstream position.
Right, and exactly, that's where I seek allegiance rather than a combative approach to our globe earth believing or anti-flat earth counterparts. If you approach them with the contentious, you're wrong, you haven't got an open mind, and you've been deceived into being on a globe, here's my exemplary understanding of how your globe doesn't work, they immediately hate you. Because people hate to be shown to have been deceived. If you've been duped, it's really hard to convince people that they've been duped. Whereas if you start from their agreement of, in this example, how, well, I understand that in the network for the rail, well, underground in this example, how, yeah, but we basically treat it as though it's flat. I mean, there's disclaimers and mitigation for how it is actually curved, but we don't treat it as curved. But I appreciate that the actual process of building the network is flat. That should be a... If you're going at it from approaching a globe believer and you're trying to convert them, flat earth evangelist styley, then that should be the approach. Seek their agreement in terms of how they also appreciate, like in this example, that, well, we're going to treat it as flat. So you go, okay, so we both understand that Earth's going to be built on flat in this example. Great, we agree. And then you can move forward with that attitude that doesn't seek their annoyance through telling them how wrong they are when they know how flat we've got to treat it. And if they happen to drop in that it's curved, you go, all right, how is that actually accounted for then? In other words, you can seek their discussion for how it's going to be proven by them, rather than you immediately launching into how something doesn't work that they wholeheartedly, as you rightly point out, which the majority of the Western world have this belief, making it an unfair comparison, as you said, to Scientology. Where I don't see it as an unfair comparison is where we as a group aren't in that position. So the persona, not the persona, the kind of vibe that we give off to the audience will be the attitude that they take from us when they pass on that information as a third party to the next man. Well, if we are internally always discussing about how the globe doesn't work, then that's what people take away from it, and that's how it's been going on for the last 10 years, to the point where the last Dave Weiss video he did with the Flattoberfest, it may be down to editing, but the majority of what's been put in by the videographer is Dave telling him how wrong he is and how lack of open-minded he is and how the globe doesn't work. And this is how the globe says it should work, but it doesn't. And this is how the globe says it should be travelling through the sky, but isn't. And it's all about how wrong the opponent is. It's like, it would be a subtle enough change to start with the position that it's flat, if you're a flat earth evangelist antagonizing a globe believer, and then just take their example in this, for the sextant, it's like, you need a flat plane too. You're going to establish a plane of reference to get an angle from too. We all understand how this rail network's built flat too. We understand that the difference in elevation for the rail network itself across the whole of the country has to be flat too. You understand that the Earth's going to be surveyed in this 100-mile square area flat. We all appreciate that. We've got lots of agreement from our globe believers so that they can easier go, I knew it was flat all along.
It's more than just this railway system, though. I understand that's planar, but if you look into the OSGB, the British National Grid, they have all of Britain laid out in a grid. It's a planar thing. You can look it up on Wiki. They admit it's planar. It's separate from longitude, latitude. The whole thing's planar.
Holy shit, Nathan Oakley. How much you guys pay this guy to come in here?
Thanks a bunch. Who was that?
You got me blocked, Nathan Oakley. Take me off the block list on your fucking Discord, bro.
No swearing.
It's a
Who's
Glover.
that? Who's that? Hello.
Stop swearing.
Got
Rob.
me
It's a Glover.
Sorry.
Who is it?
I am the ghost. I am the ghost of globalist past.
It's Rob Noxious.
Robonoxious. Is that you?
Yeah, everybody knows me, brother.
You're probably blocked because you're like notoriously a troll.
Is that right?
Rob Noxious did prove that the Earth does, it isn't spinning and it's flat. He did it in his garage. Hey, Rob Noxious, show him that video, your garage video. You proved it. Thanks, buddy. Thanks a lot.
What did he
I
prove?
know.
Don't show us the video. Don't show us the video.
Problem. No problem. I prove a lot of things. I got shit to do right now. I just was listening. Good thing, Nathan Oakley. Good to hear from you, brother.
You too. What? I didn't catch what you proved though.
Oh, I prove all kinds of shit daily. I got things to do right now, though. We'll see more of each other.
I'm sure we will.
That sounded like a threat.
We'll see more of each other, I assure you.
Got that glow proof?
Intellectual threat.
Yeah. I will be seeing
That wasn't
you.
creepy at all.
I excel in creepiness.
This is the guy that denies that you can't freely and privately explore Antarctica, man. Just to give you an idea.
I know.
Oh, excellent. Oh man, we're getting so much achieved here. So Antarctica is an interesting subject as well, Witsit. I am wholeheartedly of the belief that the Antarctica subject as a whole has been inserted into this category, flat Earth, so that we can argue the toss about something that's inconsequential, where we have plenty of demonstrations. Again, I'm not directing this at you, more at Dave White if he ends up listening to this, in terms of easily demonstrated examples of new worlds being discovered in our recent history, as opposed to speculation about what could be discovered out in Antarctica. Do you see where I'm going?
I'm sure I agree with that. I don't really speculate about it very much.
It wasn't you that did it. It's just the whole Antarctica thing, I think, is a false narrative. It's a red herring for us to argue about indefinitely that doesn't really achieve much.
I kind of agree. I actually think that even the North Pole region would be more important anyway. But so yeah, I agree.
Hey, B.
David, as far as David Weiss, he does say that it's speculation or his opinion, but I agree with y'all about the North Pole. I think it's a distraction with the South Pole.
It's literally the thing is, I think you can read between the lines when you look at the stations. Deception Station, Troll Station, Great War Station. It's pretty weird, these names that they choose for these stations. It's almost like
you're limited to
something.
You're limited to mere speculation, right? Like we can't go there. We don't know. We have no idea what it is.
But what would
same with the center.
But what would you hope to get out of it, whoever that was just talking a minute ago? In terms of just general chit-chat about Antarctica, what would you hope to achieve out of a discussion about it?
I think
I would hope. Hold on, Clay. I would hope that we could explore it and go in a straight line, and then that's going to lead us to some kind of answer eventually. There's either going to be land or a dome. A container wall, or you're going to pop out on the other side if it's a globe. You know what I'm saying? I think Antarctica would hold some answers.
To what?
I would say
I just want to find out what he's saying. The question being what? Answers to what questions?
To what's out there.
For what purpose? So, okay, if there's a bigger region of Antarctica not on the map, okay, great. Let's say you discover if it's to achieve that, to show others that there's more out there. Is that what you're saying?
Well, more like a curiosity killed the cat thing. Like, yeah, what's out there? Is it we're going to hit a container wall, or we're going to pop out on the other side of the globe Earth and be in South America or Africa or whatever? Like, I think it would have some answers.
Please, if I may.
I was going somewhere with this, but go on, Arwin.
What it will answer is if the Earth, continents, and everything that we've gotten to know, which the Earth has to be to fit on the globe, well, if that holds water, or if there's a lot of more land or some other realm right next to us, well, how is that globe going to fit, right? That's one of the points. Bring it up.
Okay.
Exactly why you want to get away from it.
Yeah, I don't want to debate this, Arwin, as much as that's a valid point. That wasn't where I was hoping this went. I just want to take it there quickly, because otherwise we're going to lose track of this quick. Okay. There's a refinement to a Dave Weiss argument. If you have watched his video with that guy, I've forgotten his name, fairly famous YouTuber at Flattoberfest, then you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, go and check out his video. Okay? Dave Weiss is explaining that we have, beyond the ice wall, new lands like are being argued about in postulation now with Antarctica. And the aliens could be out there in these new lands. Fine. Now, that's a crap rendition of an argument Dave's got from me. And I want that to be refined to the point where it's actually useful to make a point, as opposed to satisfy your curiosity to what might be out there. Because that may actually be satisfied if more people are intrigued to investigate. With us, the small group that we are, wanting that folly to be satisfied, it probably never will be, for whatever reason, unless there's plenty enough intrigue. How do we achieve the intrigue? Well, with examples that are already in place that we can show to be true. For example, the new worlds that are already in place that many people still reference as the New World or third world countries. If you go back a couple of 100 years in terms of the nautical documents about these new territories prior to them being discovered, they were investigating outer space, the area beyond the horizon where the territories were already mapped, and they found the new worlds, the new land out in the area previously uncharted. So, the progression of history easily demonstrated is a flat charted land with a grid system using Polaris, and a land beyond the already charted that is unknown, which then was investigated and new worlds were found. Some of us live on them after colonization. So, all those colonies were at one time undiscovered worlds. That's a fact. Now, that as a fact, when I then get an agreement from you that you understand that the description of an alien is a current vernacular description of someone potentially traveling from a new world to your existing country, described as an alien. You can then put all of the pieces with facts and data about how the world and the history they already know has come to pass, with new worlds out in space. It's a far more effective argument for the dissemination of a flat plane being negotiated with all of the measurements in place that we just debated about, and they don't have to speculate about what could be out beyond a ring in a north-centric azimuthal equidistant projection that puts Antarctica as a ring. Because we don't know any of the speculation that could be Antarctica. We do know we found new worlds, and they're easy to reference as exactly that on maps that don't have any new worlds and then do have new worlds where there was previously just a ring with nothing in it. So that expansion, if you look at previous history, is easy to extrapolate out in the mind's eye of somebody who you're trying to get to speculate about their world that's currently globe-shaped. If you say, this is how the world had expanded up until now, but then it got locked down as a sphere, if you're opposing a sphere believer, as opposed to introducing it by default as a flat earther. I'm done. Got there in the end.
Hey everyone, hey Nathan.
I want to point out about that video real fast.
What I would say
I was
about
there at Flattoberfest. Good.
Just let Brian just give his introductions, then go ahead with it. Oh, Brian.
Yeah, so I was there, and that dude came in. Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'll go after.
Yeah, and then you guys wait, and then let Clay go after, because he's been trying to get in and he got cut off a few times too, please.
All right. So
I was at that Flattoberfest, right, where that guy does that little hit piece or whatever. He came up to me. People call me over there. I was like kind of ignoring it, but called me over there and he asked me immediately, like, why do you not believe the Earth's a globe? And then I just immediately falsified the radius and then just falsified the space vacuum, like just bang, 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 bang. Probably like a 20-minute conversation, at least 15 minutes. And then the guy took out like 4-second clip towards the end of the conversation where he kept on asking about gravity and puts only that portion in there. Right. So, of course, he leaves out the whole like first 10 minutes or so where I'm just completely destroying the globe. Yeah, it was like...
no way. So you're telling me he sacrificed all of your excellent globe debunkings and flat earth proofs in favour of a rendition of something contentious that you had with him with gravity? Is that correct?
Yeah. He kept asking about gravity. I brought up the downward electric current and put the 3 seconds of that in.
So instead of using all the flat earth proofs, he just took the false dichotomy with a downward bias that you guys stand for, that we vehemently oppose. Isn't that interesting, Witsit? Shouldn't that tell you something?
Yeah, because people think that gravity is so definitive that that's all he could use. But I mean, there is a downward electric current. I don't have time for this. Actually, I have to go to my topic.
That's not the point.
I understand his points. I understand his point.
It's not that I want to get into an argument.
I was actually out there in person. I'm the one that was actually there in person, that actually did the interview, that actually had the opportunity to do it, that actually destroyed the globe and then got clipped up, right? So like in that, I was scared to answer questions.
Yeah.
Right. That would have been
I
my
get that.
alternative, was to like walk away.
I appreciate that. I'm not suggesting that we should debate about downward bias. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is where we postulate that the false dichotomy that is left open by the debate between people who believe there is a downward bias in line with gravity is a useful position for a glober to take. And in this instance, he's relinquished everything else but that. That's very telling.
Sure.
Because the other arguments didn't give him any maneuvering room left, while this very specific subject gave him a lot of interpretation room.
Exactly.
Precisely.
Except that it literally didn't, right? And he only even took that out of context and couldn't even respond. What I'm saying is just a fact and it's measurable. But anyway, I understand your point. But what I'm saying is in that situation, right? If he then starts talking about gravity while he has these cameras, he would have just took the clip of me refusing and twisting it like I was scared to even address it. Or if I just said, "Oh, do you have any evidence of it?" Blah blah blah. Then he would have just taken the clip of me refusing to engage on that point. Okay, so if you're actually there in person, and you would understand, right, that you can't just run away from the points or just like repeat yourself about the radius over and over, because they're just going to clip you out of context. So,
So how did you attack the gravity position that he then clipped and only used? What was it that he took as being contentious so he would benefit from using it? What was it that you put to him that he took as beneficial?
Well, I mean, I just pointed out that his belief of gravity has no actual evidence. I said, do you have any evidence of it? Then I explained the basic concepts of density at first. And then as the conversation continued to progress and he kept going, he said, well, yeah, there's also everything's electric, and there's a downward electric current on the Earth. Everything's seeking equilibrium based on all of these variables. So he just takes there's a downward electric current, me explaining the equipotential of it, and he just puts that there. Right. So, I mean, it's whatever. What I'm saying is think about the alternative. If we had pressed me on gravity and I've just been like, okay, I'm not talking about that, or walked away or refused to answer, he would have taken that clip and made it look like, oh, the flat earthers are so, they can't even understand gravity.
Yeah, but I feel
can I say something?
No,
I think it was Brian was next.
Yeah.
No, Clay was next.
No, it was Witsit, Brian, then Clay.
Yeah, Brian, then Clay.
Yeah, I have two problems here. Number one, right, you're arguing for the same thing he's arguing for. I'm after spending, I don't know how long, with ballers, one particular baller, weeks, forward and back, trying to show him how gas does not have weight. And what you're arguing for is that gas has weight. That's what you're arguing for. So regardless of whether he calls it gravity and you call it something else, you're both arguing for something that doesn't happen and isn't real. The second problem is...
You notice how you guys always have to straw man me? It's so
weird. The second problem is...
You're arguing with what I made up.
1 second.
Hello?
I had 2 points. The second problem is, how is what you're talking about any different than what Jaron Campanella talks about on the documentary in 2018? They took me out of context. Context. Of course they did. That's what they're going to do. If you're putting yourself in a position where they can do that, they will do that. So I have 2 problems with that.
Yeah, it's something with Brian's line. There's nothing much I can do about it. It just sees Brian as like background noise and cuts him out because he's got such a terrible mic. It just sees him as background noise. Sorry.
I also have a chest infection today, so that's not helping.
I tried to turn him up as much as possible.
We can have a conversation later. Nice talking to you guys. I'm glad it wasn't crazy toxic.
Yeah,
I have
it
to
was
go
good.
to...
Thank you, Witsit.
Later.
Brian's point, just before Clay
Hold
goes, because Brian's point wasn't made clear to the Discord server. Brian's point was to say, they're going to take you out of context, and the thing that they've got to take you out of context with is a false assertion that there's an electrical downward bias, which is the case, but isn't gravity. So that's the bit it's used, because it's not gravity, and that's what he's asking for, and the explanation is an electrical downward bias. Okay? That's not gravity. Go ahead, Clay.
So since we have moved on, I just want to quickly get back to this one point about Antarctica, and I want to emphasize on something real quick. I think that is not being emphasized too much, but isn't it interesting that there's so many nations, almost all, that agree upon some piece of ice and some penguins and whatnot? I mean, there's not really much to find there, according to their narrative, right? That they can agree to protect that, but in other regions where it's actually, where actually people live and have their house and so forth, right? where where stuff is going on, actually, they are like enemies, or they have like big problems with each other. And we see the same pattern with, like, let's give an example, a big example, Russia and the US and the International Space Station. It seems like cooperation over the decades have never been any problems, but for some reason there's this second game they play as a role play or whatnot on the Earth, where for some reason they actually don't get along that great. So I mean, call me out if I'm wrong, but isn't that something weird to point out?
It's not really weird.
So it's
That
interesting.
used to happen a lot, even in the past, right? Kings would be officially enemies. There would be war. They'd still meet, though, and have tea together and all that, while the troops would be shooting each other or whatever. So that's actually kind of normal if you look at the past.
Yeah, so the question sounded like, is it?
Hold on. Hold on, guys, in G+.
Let me real quick.
Hello,
real quick.
hold on. I think Clay's got more to add.
Hold on. I was next after Clay.
No.
I was first.
I think Eli was first. Then you next.
Eli, then Noah.
Yeah, so for clarification, basically, Clay, you're saying it's interesting that we all grew up with a narrative about Antarctica, since most of us, probably none of us, have actually been there, number one. So everything we know about it is hearsay. And it's also interesting that there are maybe companies, corporations that do underhanded things. Yeah. That's a very quick conversation. Yes and yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to kind of harken it. I was just going to outside of the political considerations of Antarctica, I was just going to harken it back to Witsit and gravity real quick, because that's what I wanted to comment on, but you guys passed by it real quick and moved on to Antarctica. But when it comes to gravity, it's a word with dual meanings, right? Just like many words in the English language have dual meanings. There's small g and then there's big G, right? They're both gravity. One is an accelerative effect towards the earth, down, accelerative effect downwards. And I think we should, like, as flat earthers or whatever, I don't know, whatever you want to call yourself, to make it very clear that you agree. And that is the case. And I think most cultures throughout all the time had a word for that downward accelerative effect. And I think we should separate it, because it's tricky, because the word is literally a word with two meanings. But there's a second word, which is gravity, which means the attraction.
Everyone, can you hear him still talking? He's still talking.
Sorry.
Wrap it up, Noah.
But yeah, there's a second meaning. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap it up. There's a second word which means the attraction between masses, and I think that's what needs to be attacked. I think we should first start off by saying, I agree with you, but I don't agree with the second, I guess, definition of the word. So that's all I wanted to put in.
So did you assert that we should all agree about the downward bias?
When it comes to solids, when it comes to solids, there obviously is one. Solids go down, right? When it comes to gas, that's a whole nother issue. I've had many debates that outside of a container, you can't even prove that gas even has weight.
Right, are you suggesting that solids also do? What about asbestos? Asbestos doesn't do that. It suspends in air.
Exactly.
It's a solid.
There's clouds too. Clouds are water and ice, and they're just chilling up there. I know.
Yeah, so
there are some things.
It is special pleading, right?
Just one sec. But Clay, you've tried to lead us to agree with the gravitational downward bias, but there isn't one.
Oh, that was Noah.
No, sorry.
If you drop an object in a vacuum, it doesn't accelerate towards the floor.
If you drop an object in a vacuum,
it depends. Can you drop a gas in a vacuum? So
gas actually goes down in a vacuum.
One second.
No, it doesn't. Hold on.
Why would we be trying to?
Hold on. Gas doesn't go down in a vacuum.
Yeah, so when they say, or solids, when they say solids, which you just overcame with asbestos, in all reality, we're talking about things in relation to the medium. Like always, that's always the case in any instance with any substance. So that's what's really going on. But then, we take, this one aspect of something happening, and then we formulate an affirming the consequent fallacy, potentially, for things like basketballs being bounced or something. It's like, why?
Why are we trying to replace something? 1 second. Why are we trying
Nathan's
to replace
right, actually.
something that doesn't exist in the first place? Why would you be trying to replace something that doesn't exist? That makes absolutely zero sense. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping your argument.
Well, it sounds like where I am.
Getting
like,
a response. Sorry, guys, stop in G.
Please,
Stop.
one at a time.
Guy in G+ that was saying no, something happens in a vacuum. Who was that in G+? In Discord.
Can I just say something real quick? Yeah, Nathan was right about the gases in a vacuum. Sorry, I was thinking about like fog machines. The gas does take a downward bias. I believe that's due to like atmospheric pressure or some density of the gas pushing it down.
That's
but
due to the
when you do
diffusion rate.
drop, when you do drop something solid in a vacuum with no pressure, the object still does accelerate towards the ground at the same rate all other solids seem to do so, right? You drop a rock, it goes down. People called gravity. People had the word gravity before they had the mass attracts mass. The Greeks had a word for that acceleration towards the ground before
they didn't have a word for acceleration towards the ground. That's completely false and wrong. The word gravitas is Latin, and it means heavy or weight. It's a description. It is not a claimed force of any or a claimed cause of any kind. There is no gravity force. There is no bending space-time. So why are we trying to replace these things or entertain them in any way?
Well, then what's pulling it down if it's not gravity? It's not density.
Nothing's
It's
pulling it down. It's a density differential issue. That's all it is, density differential between the object or substance and the medium it resides in. It couldn't be any simpler.
The problem... My bad, Brian. Go ahead.
No,
I want to go
done.
next,
Go
please.
ahead, Jeremy.
Brian.
He's made his point. Go ahead.
The thing with the density differential, like, is asbestos more dense than the air? We have clouds up there. Like, there are anomalous examples where even relative density doesn't.
No,
like, you know what a cloud's made of?
Convection. That's convection. The same with dust. Dust goes up as well due to convection. It's because of convection. That's what causes that.
Hot air rises, and it does have some lifting capacity. So if it's dust,
saying hot air is
very easily with rising air. And by the way, hold on. Well, you said earlier mist, right? Oh, no, mist is actually micro water droplets. It's liquid.
Sure, but the point is there's no bias. There is no bias downwards. Stuff goes up.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. When I drop a rock in a vacuum, when I drop a rock in a vacuum, there's some sort of accelerative effect that takes hold of the rock and brings it to the ground. You don't have
and when I let go of a helium balloon, which direction does that go?
That's not special pleading. That's just a fact of what happened.
Okay, let's just acknowledge him.
If I
can I just acknowledge him first? Oh my God! Total audio chaos. No one can stop talking.
I don't want to mute everybody. Please.
Alpo, there's nothing you can do. It's his panel. There's not.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll acknowledge your example. You're saying a rock goes down if you pick it up. Okay. Well, gases come out of the ground and go up. For every example that you say what sets a downward bias, there's other examples that aren't going down. So it's not a bias.
Yeah, that's why.
Well, it is a bias. It is a bias. It is a bias. It is a bias because it is a bias because if I so real quick to Nathan Oakley directly, it is a bias because if I let go of a rock in a vacuum, it doesn't hit the ceiling, it hits the floor. It doesn't hit the side of the wall. It hits the floor. It always faces
confirmation bias
the direction
of your
towards
special pleading argument.
I have a question.
Ideally, I'd like to respond to him. It doesn't seem to matter that he's even specifically said he wants me to respond to him. It doesn't seem to matter. Okay. Yeah. You've had it from a panel. They're saying special pleading. Because you're saying in this specific set of circumstances, that I can conjure, it will do what I infer gives us a bias. Now, I've already put it to you, there are plenty of examples that defy that. Therefore, describing it as a bias would be defied by things that don't do it. Now, in a heliocentric model, there is an automatically in effect downward bias for everything by way of a mass attracting mass force or a bent pseudo-geometry. Now, in either instance, there's an automatic assumption that there's a force holding solids to the ground, which they call gravity. Whereas in reality, there is no such bias downwards. There are plenty of examples of things that go up beyond your special pleading example. Please, can you acknowledge that things go up beyond your special pleading example?
I acknowledge, well, not the special pleading part, but I acknowledge the idea that things go up in certain circumstances. I would have to agree. Like if I have a balloon, we've all had a balloon with helium and let go of it and it's floated away. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. But I'm pretty sure if you put a helium balloon in a vacuum,
Can I ask a question?
Yo,
well, hold up, excuse me.
Hold on, guys, hold on. Let no one finish. Guys, no, you're not helping. I'm trying.
My panel are determined to cause total audio chaos at all costs.
Put a helium.
No, we're gonna let you finish. Hold on, guys. Let's go one at a time. Noah's gonna finish, and then whoever can respond.
No, he's lagging.
I just had a question. I had a question. We all agree that we have experienced as children and seeing children and everybody with helium balloons go up. However, I can't speak for it, but has anybody ever experienced going into a vacuum or being near a vacuum, dropping a rock in it and observing a penny, a rock, or any solid matter drop? Physically seeing it themselves, not seeing the video.
Yes.
That's all I want to know.
We had a yes.
Who's saying that?
Everything except for gas will go down in a vacuum. There's no medium. When you say turn 1 second.
No, can you back out and come back in because you're lagging really bad.
1 moment.
Yeah,
Maybe just 10 people at the same time bring up a new point.
When you put a helium balloon in a vacuum and you chamber and you start bringing down the pressure, that balloon will go down to the floor. But when the pressure goes low enough, the helium inside the balloon, which is expanding out the balloon, busts the balloon and fills the chamber.
We can't hear Brian.
That is a crap argument.
Brian, you're saying the balloon will expand after the balloon, which is solid, goes to the bottom of the chamber. It will expand, and when it pops, the balloon and the gas will fill the space. That's what he's saying. It goes up. It expands out inside the containment of the ball that is the balloon. That will get bigger as the gas expands in all directions, up and out, expanding out the balloon in all directions. If it pops, the gas expands out into the vacuum, that's the space it has available, in all directions. Well, there is no bias down in that example. None. If there is to be asserted a bias downwards, then the gas would be biased downwards. It isn't. It's moving in all directions equally. No bias.
Yeah, and in a vacuum chamber, in a vacuum chamber, it's going to be the rubber that's actually always going to be more dense than air and vacuum that's going to pull that gas down. There is no rubber that is of equal density as air or a vacuum. So it's literally a straw man demonstration. The rubber is pulling that balloon down. It happens to have gas in it. The gas is not what's making that thing go down. It's the rubber.
Thank you, Arwen. Thank you.
Rakia was next. Rakia was next.
Gases don't act the same at temperatures and pressures being equal. They all do different things. That's why I think we do need to define the bias. I think because of the majority of things at standard or so-called standard temperature and pressure do try and get back to where it seems like where they were created, which I think is ground level or near ground level, underneath the ground or right at ground level. I think that's where most of them are at normal temperatures and pressures are trying to get back to overall.
Which gases don't behave
the
same?
I was just about to ask the same question. Brian's asking which gases don't expand in all directions to fill the availability of volume?
Well, helium under pressure is still helium, but it's going to have a downward bias. But helium under a different pressure and temperature is going to rise up. The majority of it.
Helium won't have a downward bias at
no,
any point.
yes, they can't hear you,
Helium to
Brian.
gas.
Your mic's just, they can't hear you. I don't know what the problem is and I can't solve it. No, the helium will always behave the same way, that in line with gas behavior and the descriptions thereof, which is to say that helium, if it's a gas, will just expand in all directions. It doesn't have a downward bias, unless you can qualify that by showing me helium with a downward bias when in gaseous form.
Well, I'm fine with you saying that, but under my understanding, the way I was taught, I mean, the very reason when you fill a balloon that is much heavier than the air around it with helium, it rises, and you can answer the rest. It rises why?
So, could you answer me a question, Raki? The gas that's pressing on the top of that helium balloon, pushing it up and outwards, upward direction gas, for the balloon that's expanded up and out in all directions, how much does that helium weigh with its downward bias? The one that's pushing the balloon up?
Well, I think it all has weight, but our scales are usually on the bottom, but you can weigh helium by putting the scale on the top. Why the balloon, when it goes up and it expand in a way...
Weight is not enough.
Guys, can you stop interrupting?
Hang on one second.
Guys, please.
The balloon will expand, it'll expand in a way almost like a pear. So the top of the balloon will get larger and larger and larger, and the bottom balloon will get skinnier and skinnier, and it'll expand because the pressure around the outside of the container, plastic or whatever you want, rubber, gives way at a certain point when that gas expands. But the shape of the object becomes obvious that there's more pressure being exerted at the top and on the top sides, right? It's trying to expand out at the top part more than the bottom part, especially with helium. But other gases do similar things.
But that completely contradicts your idea that there's a downward bias or that there's a weight to the gas.
I never said there was a downward bias. I said the bias is set by most gases acting a certain way under normal temperature, what we call normal temperatures and pressures. I think that's how the bias is set in my mind. Now, that's why I said we need to define what we mean by bias, because helium obviously goes up.
For that to be true.
Let me explain, Nathan. Let me explain.
Does Flat Earth have
1 second.
Does Flat Earth have a position?
Oh, no, I'm speaking. Sorry, 1 moment. Let me explain.
Well, does Flat Earth have a position? Like, if it's claiming stationary Earth,
let me just explain to Brian. It doesn't seem to matter that tell Brian 5 times. When you talk to the panel, we can hear you. When it goes through to Discord, you just cut out continually and they can't hear what you're saying. So you're trying to have a broken conversation with them. Someone's just going to step all over you because they can't hear what you're saying, Brian. Now, I'm trying to tell you that I can't correct it. I've tried. But all it's just doing is you're trying to talk to them and they're just hearing, and you can't. That's what they're getting, Brian, from you.
Let me tell it to you then, Nathan, quickly, and you can relate to the Discord. What people are not understanding is diffusion rates. That's what makes people think that some gases have an upward and some gases have a downward bias. It's not. It's about density and diffusion rates. Overall density and a concentration and diffusion rates. More dense gases, what they would call more dense gases like carbon dioxide, etc., that diffuses slower into air. So that's why carbon dioxide will in a concentration will be at the bottom, at the floor of a house, but carbon monoxide, which is less dense than air, diffuses faster. But that will go, because it's less dense, it will go up. But they will all diffuse into air. It just some takes more time than others. So the more dense the gas, the slower its diffusion rate. The less dense the gas, the faster its diffusion rate. That's how they started learning how to qualify gas densities. It's diffusion rates. It's not weight. There's no weight. So
I don't know, man. We can't hear Brian.
Some gases go up.
Okay. I'll try and re-qualify what Brian's saying. He's saying that in the example of diffusion rates that's trying to be explained by Rakia, he's saying, well, in terms of how gases observed to behave, we can have various different gases behaving at various different temperatures at various different layers in our quote-unquote atmosphere, although it isn't. Now, in that example, Brian's saying, yeah, but what you're describing is the introduction of a gas. So as the gas is released from the ground, there may be a high concentration of that gas at that particular time, at that particular location. But it will still diffuse throughout the availability of space through the gaps in the already existing air. And that's classed as a diffusion rate. But in either case, either introducing a gas, be it helium or any other gas, into a vacuum, it will always, without exception, expand equally into the availability of volume it has. However, if it's being introduced into a pre-existing contained system with gas in it, it will diffuse throughout the gaps in the existing gas at a particular rate, depending on what gas it is. So in some ways, Raki is right, but he's left with the impression that that would mean that helium has a particular weight and has a bias downwards. Hence we have helium, or whatever gas we're going to describe, carbon monoxide or dioxide, in a greater concentration at the lower levels. That is not the case. There is more of that gas being produced at the lower levels, therefore there is a higher concentration. That also...
Yeah,
Go on.
Well, could I...
Well, I agree with I agree with what you said. I don't necessarily apply weight to that because it could be something else. I can't apply weight, right? Because that's kind of what I'm arguing against in a way. But the way gases behave, you can obviously observe them to be different at different temperatures and pressures. Even the same gas, right? Not even a different gas behaves differently at different pressures and temperatures.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But ultimately, the behaviour of the gas that we may describe dispersing through existing gas pressure has its own description within a contained system of gas. But that doesn't alter how gas as a whole behaves. And Brian's overall or overarching point is that you can't ascribe weight, a downward bias in air, for something that can be placed on a scale to qualify it in that manner. You can't qualify it in that manner, which is how you'd qualify a downward bias and how gravity is qualified, when you have something that entirely flies in the face of that, which is gas behaviour, because it does not do that. Therefore cannot be qualified as having weight.
My point, Nathan, was that... One second, let me clear this up with Nathan. My point was that more dense gases than air diffuse slower into air, less dense gases than air diffuse faster into air. So it gives the impression that something like carbon dioxide is heavier than air. It's not heavier, it's just got a slow, it's more dense in a concentration, so it's got a slower diffusion rate.
Yeah. Can you define the diffusion rate of a gas for me and others?
Diffusion itself...
I get what you're saying, but can you define...
It's the essence of entropy. Diffusion is a description within the second law of thermodynamics. Very specifically. That is what describes diffusion. Diffusion, osmosis, or any of those types of dissipation are very specifically detailed by the second law of thermodynamics.
I got you. I was on the same page with you. I just wanted to make sure. But I think weight is more of a pressure, can be related as pressure. And the pressure downward, if the scale is underneath, gives you a certain what we call weight. But you can also measure that same pressure in a upward manner or a sideways manner or whatever.
But that's just pressure.
I mean, that was cool.
But that's just pressure.
That was cool what you said, Oakley.
It's just pressure. That's just pressure.
That was cool what you said about the second law and entropy and stuff. But someone told me once that the second law doesn't apply to Earth. So.
Yeah, I can qualify what that means too. Yeah, what that means is, when they say Earth, I've had that quoted to me by Rumpus. Quote, the second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth, end quote, the Rumpus. What that actually means is, it doesn't apply to their sphere Earth in a vacuum model. Because in their sphere Earth, globe Earth, in a model, the second law of thermodynamics cannot apply because gas would fill the space and we'd all be dead. Therefore, a law of nature doesn't apply to the globe model. Well, we don't live on the globe model, we're not on the globe and we're not in space, and therefore who cares if the second law applies to a model or not? It can't have a use of the law of nature. Yeah, that immediately debunks the globe, doesn't it?
Yeah, globe Earth is not a natural model.
Jeremy, the next time somebody tells you that, and tells you with the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth, tell them where the hell did it come from then?
Can I ask a question?
Where did it come from? I think there's a lag between...
I've been waiting.
Hold on.
Yeah, Space Monkey, go ahead. Go ahead, Space Monkey. You've been waiting.
Hold on, real quick. I'm almost done. Yeah. I'm almost done. That makes me think of a Feynman quote where he said, if your theory goes against the second law of thermodynamics, then your theory is absurd and needs to be disregarded immediately. Something to that effect.
It's in bad shape. Yeah, you said it's in bad shape. It's in bad shape.
Okay,
yeah.
So this is This is to the panel. If the Earth's not a globe, what is it then?
Flat.
What is it?
Measured flat. Dealt with flat.
Do any of
observably
you
flat,
know?
Navigated flat.
Do
I'm
any of
answering
you
him.
know?
And now I'm getting
what
rumpus
the
by
Earth
my own
is?
panel. I'm answering him. Nobody can hear me answering him? Did your question need continuation through the answer? What's going on? I'm answering you.
I'm just
If it's not a globe,
because my claim is, Nathan, that 8 billion people don't know what the Earth is.
and
Are you claiming to know?
what? How many people there are? No.
Are you claiming to know what the Earth is?
It is factually measured flat. That's how it's dealt with. That's a fact. Yes, I do know.
So someone said, so the Earth's not a globe. What is it then? What would you say?
Flat.
Flat.
Flat what?
That's a description of the world that you're asking me to describe. I'm describing it in opposition to the globe description as a flat plane, because that's what it is. That's how it's dealt with.
So you've been in this subject nearly a decade, and you've got a word as an explanation for where everyone exists is flat.
I haven't got an
You
explanation.
think that's good enough?
I've got a justification for how Earth's dealt with, navigated, built on, and how it is dealt with, built on, navigated, mapped, is flat. That's how it's functionally dealt with. So if you want to know how Earth is functionally dealt with and how you can take measurements with respect to Earth, those measurements with respect to Earth will be flat.
Well, when I was born, I was told it was a planet like we all were, and now I'm just wondering what it is.
Flat. To assert that you're on a globe,
No.
I'm answering you. Again, I'm answering you. Again, I'm answering you. Continuation of the question through the answer for the second time. I'm answering you.
None of you have any answers when it comes.
I'm in the middle of the answer.
We took care of it.
You don't have to mute him.
Go ahead.
You don't have to mute him. You just have to let me reason with the guy that I'm actually answering his question he's asked. But as soon as I start answering, the continuation comes through the top of it. Well, what the hell?
Right,
I'm trying
so
to answer, but if he's on
maybe
mute,
strike
he's
number
not
two.
engaged with me. I'm now engaged with everyone else around him because he's not capable of responding. I don't want him on mute.
Right. I mean, in this server, if he starts interrupting, he gets muted and can't interrupt a person.
My bad. I don't know
that's
the
that's
rules.
the, you're trying to answer.
My bad. I didn't know that. Okay, that seems
Hey,
reasonable.
Nathan, I think he's asking for a little bit more than just flat. You know, he's asking for, like, he wants an explanation to everything. Like, they gave him the model and gave him this illusion of a spinning ball and everything. So now he wants that redone and more than just an explanation of flat. So it's what he's wanting something that you can't really give him.
I am trying to give it him. I am literally trying to give him that.
I know, Spirit.
Can I do it?
Go ahead, Oakley.
With Space Monkey's interaction, hopefully. Right, Space Monkey. It's not just flat. I'll say it's slower. Navigated flat. That is to say, moved around on and found your way around the world flat. That's not just saying it's flat as opposed to... I'm still talking. Yeah.
I don't care. That's not good enough.
Why'd you
mate.
ask then, dickhead? Why'd you ask?
That's 10 years. You're going to listen to me now, mate. Sorry.
Wanker.
You're out here.
You're a
This is
cornball.
how it goes.
Wanker.
He wants another guru.
Yeah, just a wanker. He's decided that the answer to the question that he's asked for isn't going to be permittable, so it's just going to be a string of ad homs while I talk to you guys on the panel. I can't do anything other than...
Try to listen. I know you're intellectual giants, but just be humble for a second because you don't know what the Earth is and you're out of your depth.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I'm trying to tell you, you just won't listen.
Get him, Merle.
You are a liar and you don't know what the Earth is, and why are you pretending that you do?
Because that's how it's measured.
That's nuts.
Because that's how it is.
Fuck off, bro.
I'm trying to speak to Space Monkey. Whoever's interrupting this conversation from Discord, please can you just let me address Space Monkey? Thank you. Because that's how it's measured, to answer your question. That's how I know.
Server muted him as soon as he said F you. Not allowed over here on this server. Merle, you have a lot of room to talk because you've come to this server and other ones, and you used to be on the flat Earth side. All of a sudden, you switch back. I don't know what you want to call this, but we're not here for that kind of discussion right now. We're trying to have things that are of importance, babe. So let's hope everybody else
Stacey,
continue.
it's called pain.
Can I say hi?
Well,
Stacy, what's up, yo? How you doing? It's been a while.
I did want to
Hi
just
guys,
say
miss
that
you.
I think
Miss you
Merle
too.
does have one point that I heard, which is that we don't know where we are. Well, I don't think anybody here knows where we are. It's one thing that the globe side likes to claim. Oh, we know where we are. No, we
Okay,
don't.
I don't know if there's an issue with the line. I'll just try it once more, slower, for that guy who just said we don't know where we are, in spite of
Oh no,
us.
he gets it. It's just I was just
I
just
need you
didn't want people-
reiterating what he gets rather than me being able to address anything ever at all in entirety. No, I'm just not ever going to get an opportunity. No, we do know where we are. I'll tell you why for the 5th time. Because we have measured it and mapped it. Flat. Is
Show
that
me
not
a map.
coming?
Show me your
my
map.
bad,
Hold on,
my
whoa,
bad,
whoa,
my
whoa, whoa.
bad, my
Everybody
bad.
calm down,
Obviously,
calm
great
down.
server.
We're gonna
Great
go one at a
server,
time
great server,
here.
great server. I'll try again.
Okay, dude. If you don't like the server, you don't have to be here, dude. It's cool. I'm trying to mod.
I mean,
I'm
more
trying
than
to
one
help. I'm trying to make a
sentence.
conversation
Yeah,
happen.
it's just me trying to tell you the answer to your question and then it being entirely ignored. We don't know where we are, other than the fact we've mapped the bloody place. Flat. Yeah, where we do. I'm disagreeing. And then what? The next sentence will be, yeah, it's great that you can tell me how it's mapped and stuff, and we know how to find our way around it and go on holiday and stuff around the place that we know, but we don't really know where we are. Yeah, I'm going to object to that shite because it's stupid. We do. How do we know? Because, I'll make it absolutely clear, we measured it. And how did we measure what we know the Earth to be with the final bloody interruption before I give up on this server? Because we measured it flat. That's how we measured it. That's how we deal with it. Is this not coming through on FM? Because I'm going to be told we don't know where we are in a minute.
I just muted you, dude, because I'm just trying. I'm not even like trying to argue with you. I was actually just trying to smooth out the conversation, and now you're like talking about giving up on the server. So you can just leave.
Platypus.
I don't know who the fuck this guy is, but we don't let anybody talk to people.
Platypus. We've been having a good conversation. Please chill. Calm down.
Dude, he's on our live stream telling the audience he's going to give up on the server.
You just got in here, bro. Chill.
All right. I'm pretty chill. I just
Sorry, my bad. It's my bad. My irritation. Were you the guy that said we don't know where we are?
No, it wasn't him. It was somebody else.
Okay.
Well, that was Merle who said we don't know where we are. I'm talking about in terms of the Globers, when they claim that we're on a fucking spinning ball and that we know where we are. I'm saying they don't know where we are because we're not on balls. You freaked out and didn't let me explain that to you and thought you were talking to a Glober, I think.
No, I didn't.
And then got a little disrespectful to me, and I was just trying to mod the conversation. So
no, I don't think you heard of Platypus, but Obnoxious jumped in at the same time you did, and that's what caused that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And no, I didn't assume you were a Glober. No, that's not my bag. No, I appreciate where you're coming from, and no, I don't think you're a Glober.
No offense, Nathan Oakley can't really tell the difference between different accents and whatnot. He's from the United Kingdom, so he kind of only understands that kind of accent.
Okay, I was trying to simply address. Okay. In response, the guy saying
and I'm just
the
playing,
ballers don't know where they are because they think they're on a ball, therefore they don't know where they are. Okay, fine. If that's in devil's advocate position on their behalf, then fine. Yeah, I've misinterpreted because you're not hyper-specific enough about making it clear that you're positioning yourself as a baller in their regard and how they would feel about where they think they are. Yeah, fine. I agree. There is a further point to that, which is to say, we do know where we are. We've mapped it flat. That's what I'm going to be leading with moving into 2024, because we absolutely do know where we are, and we only know where we are because we've charted it and mapped it flat. That's how the world's dealt with. It also proves we're on a flat plane. It proves Earth's flat. Knowing where we are and having mapped it flat and measured it flat. I get irritated when someone then seems to postulate that we don't know about what the world is when we do, because we're measuring it. And we're measuring it flat.
That wasn't Meryl's question.
Merle wants to.
Yeah, I think we should.
If it's just okay if I can clarify my position. So this isn't an anti-flat Earth thing. This is just basic truth. So the Earth's population might be measuring the surface of what we thought was a planet. So if it's a plane, does that mean it's just water and rock and dirt in the middle of the universe, just sitting there for no reason? People have got to get real. People want answers. And if the Earth isn't a globe, it's not good enough just to tell them it's flat. Sorry, I've been involved in this 10 years.
Okay.
I reply to that, Nathan, that you might help me out if needed. The problem is Merrick wants someone to tell him where the Earth is. He's pre-assuming that there's a thing called a universe, that exists. And because the globe will tell them
you know how they
where
show
the
you the
globe
Milky
is,
Way galaxy?
One second, because the globe will tell them where the globe is, which is nowhere, that somehow is some kind of an answer. Merrill is
every time you try and make a point, it's just destroying the conversation, I'm afraid, Brian. All they're doing is starting to talk through you because they can't hear you. They're breaking up when they're trying to listen to you. Yeah, I did get the point. He's trying to presuppose there's a universe outside the mapped territory. Now, I don't know what's beyond the mapped territory to answer his question. His presupposition of a universe isn't something I would comport with by presupposition in his paradigm. And to ask me what stacks up in contradiction or in juxtaposition with his ideas of a presupposed universe beyond the mapped territory, I can't help him with. I don't have a comparison to give him. I can only give him what has been mapped flat as a fact of fact, because that's what it is. That's the territory we know thus far. And if he's complaining that we don't know what's beyond that, that's not my fault. You're telling me that what we used to do, I'm still explaining that what we used to do when we travelled out towards the horizon.
Hold on, guys.
I just have to keep doing it for my audience then. When you're moaning about me saying give a up on the server, I'm in the middle of an explanation that answers Merle's question.
I know, I'm trying to clear the floor for you. Go ahead, Oakley. Guys, please.
I've got a lot of flack on
Yeah,
that.
I'm trying to answer you, Mel. Yeah, no, feel free to mute him. Yeah, we used to map out the territories we knew with a limitation to that mapping. Then we expanded it out with new worlds, and I can show that transition from old area that we knew and new area that we knew. Now, the previous unknown was called outer space, and in the recent history, last 200 to 300 years, that's changed from being the area beyond the horizon to the area of the sky, which you now call the universe, and want an explanation for this newfangled idea that we're on a ball with a universe around it, when previously what's shown to be fact in terms of what was found to date was new worlds beyond the horizon. That's how we used to map out our universe and expand it. Then it stopped when we got to the ball, which isn't the world we live on because it's mapped and charted flat.
Yep, that's fine. Well, my final point is that the position still stands that 8 billion people don't know where they are.
Yep.
And so everything you have to tell the flat earthers is not the actual thing you need to. This is a big situation, Nathan. It's every single living soul on earth, and it's where they exist. And if you don't think that matters to people, you're just so naive and you're out of your depth.
What are you babbling about? I'm in here converting you guys to my rhetoric about exactly
You're
that.
a cult leader. Off the fucking hook, bro.
What are you talking about,
Cult
Merle?
leader.
So can I respond to that or not?
So one of
That's
you
why
is
I'm
talking
here.
about measuring flat, and the other one is talking about like where you are. I just wanted to differentiate that. Merle's saying we don't know where we are. He has not actually said anything about flat, from what I hear. So it sounds like
Merle's
you guys are
been spinning.
I think you guys are talking past.
No, we're
Maybe
not.
we should
No, can I just address that guy?
Merle's been timed out.
Yeah, platypus.
Can I get
No,
in
we
for a
are
second,
talking
guys?
about the same thing. It's now my 7th attempt
Okay, well,
at this.
he's not here anymore, so you can wrap up your
I'm trying
point.
to talk
Go
to
ahead.
you. You think we're talking past each
Oh, yeah,
other?
go ahead.
I am trying to respond to what you just said. I listened. You said we're talking past each other because he's talking about where we are in respect to the universe as he described it, whereas you're just describing it being flat. No, I'm not. I've made multiple attempts to describe that we do know where we are because we are measuring and charting and mapping the world flat. That's knowing where we are. Our place in the universe is being found out when we map it. That's specifically the same thing. We're not talking past each other.
Can I ask Nathan a question, please? I'm biting my lip here, man. So long.
Yeah, go ahead. Unless Nathan, you want me to respond to what you just said, I'm fine.
Yeah, let him respond.
Can
I go after?
Yeah, respond. I don't want to butt in. Sorry, man. I'm so anxious.
Can I go after?
Yeah, I would say there's no flat earther that has mapped and charted and measured every square inch of this place that we're in. So nobody knows where the fuck they are. But I mean, that's kind of a hard thing to argue with.
It's just
so
wrong.
I'm not.
It's just incorrect.
I don't care.
Wrong.
I really don't give a shit.
But
I know that it's not a ball.
If you don't care, can you stop talking? If you don't care, please stop talking.
I can't stop talking because I'm not done. You fuck, dude. Listen. Oh my god. Why are you interrupting me and then complaining, dude? Fucking addressing me, dude. I'm done.
Because
Sorry,
you
guys.
said we haven't charted and mapped the world and we don't know, and that's factually wrong.
We haven't charted all of Antarctica. We haven't charted every island. Yeah, you're right. We haven't done.
This is crazy. But I'm gonna be on Flatpuss's side here for a second, dude. Look, Nathan, if you did and it's that easy, show us the flat Earth map.
But they're all flat. Do you know
Okay,
why?
show me one. Show me a flat Earth map.
Mercator
Show me one.
projection.
Just show me one. Show me
Mercator
any
projection.
flat Earth
Yeah, I'm trying to answer you. Again,
Show
it's
me
one of those
anyone.
continuations of the question while I try and give you an answer, right? Do you want to continue the question indefinitely? Show me one, you say. Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
No, I want a picture of a
there's
map.
the
I don't want
continuation
an
of the question
explanation.
because you detect I'm going to answer you. I'll try again. I heard you. I heard your question. Show me a flat map. They're all flat. And the reason they are all flat is so that they all work with elevation angle measurements taken from a flat Earth. When Earth is measured with respect to it being a plane of reference, referenced as a plane, so you can take angles from it and to it. That's why you draw out circles with respect to the angles that are flat on the flat maps. The world has been charted, it is mapped, and it was done flat. You are wrong.
What are the limitations of the world?
What we have charted thus far. That's my point when I'm arguing with Merle. He's moaning that I don't have a known, and there's the extension of the question through the answer again. I'm answering you. I heard your question. I heard the question.
All right, that's.
Oh, right, keep asking. I would suggest that I don't get to answer and the question just keeps coming.
Do you want me to answer? Sure. Oh,
You're
who's
asking
answering
me.
right now?
No, hold on. Give me a second. It's Rob Noxious again jumped in, and it sounded like it was Platypus. It was Rob Noxious.
I'm trying to respond to him.
We'll continue on, Nathan.
If I could respond. Yeah. He's asking me about the known existence of stuff beyond the charted, mapped world. What Merle described as the universe is the unknown territories beyond that which has been charted and measured as flat already. So when asked about where we are, that specifically is the mapped and charted flat territories that we've already mapped and know. Response, well, we don't know what's beyond Antarctica. No, we do not. What we do have and do know when we know where we are is what we have charted flat and used with flat maps that show the charted and mapped world. That stopped when we were told 200 or 300 years ago there's nothing more to discover, it's a ball. But up until that point, we were expanding out our known quote-unquote universe with new worlds that some of you now live on. Those are all facts. We do know where we are. We don't know what's beyond it because we've been stopped from going beyond it with a ball. But that doesn't mean we don't know where we are. We do. We've mapped it and charted it flat. Facts.
I believe the next one was Flat Earth, so I wanted to go next.
Yeah, please. No, that was great. I definitely concur with what Nathan's saying. To me, it's quite a treat to hear Nathan in this server. We've been asking for him to come in for a while, so I think everyone just needs to relax and understand that we're fighting about really minor points here. I think what Merle is generally a troll on Gem Panda's server, either arguing for or against the ball. So I wouldn't really take what he was saying with too much credibility. But in terms of where we are, I think they're asking in like a metaphysical standpoint of what is this realm? Why are we here? What are the extremities? Unless we know the extremities, we don't know anything. And like Nathan's pointed out, we know where we're living because the ground has been mapped. What's beyond the islands that may be missing off the present maps, there has been all kinds of previous maps that showed different island clusters, which no longer know that they don't exist anymore. So there has been variation in terms of islands and where certain coastlines now lie versus where they were a couple hundred or 1,000 years ago. But what Nathan was saying was definitive. We measure everything according to a flat baseline, and the ground is always measured flat. And therefore, we do know that this is a flat realm. There's mountains and valleys. Nathan's not arguing against that point. So Merle, assuming that flat is not an overarching baseline, it's the sea level to which everything is measured either above or below the sea level. That sea level is what Nathan's describing as the flat plane to which everything is measured against.
Right, and that's the most relevant point to set off figuring out where we are, right? Because nobody, among us at least, really knows what the entire place is that we're in. We can call it a realm, but we don't know exactly how it works, what the dimensions are of the realm, like where there are barriers, if any, like what the possibilities even are of this design. We just know it's flat and there's entropy.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels, especially to Discord, as it's a completely new panel on Earth Awakenings. So check them out. Hopefully one of my mods will stick a link to the Earth Awakenings Discord server so you can all join it too. Of course, again, a massive thank you to my G+ panel for making today's live and after show possible. And a massive thank you to all of you in the premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!